It's not focused on the living room, is it?
No. Only on me.
Okay, you can go.
Okay, I have to. Hi, cousin. How are
What's
you?
up? What's up? Hold on. I'm gonna have to turn this phone now. I look like I'm.
You sideways. You're like,
Hold on, don't worry, man. I ain't getting
there you
sideways
go.
just yet. Hold on now. Lord have mercy. All right.
I
You're
love
gonna have
it.
to.
I love
You're gonna
it.
have to go on a journey with me for a second.
Then look, that's all right because I still have to.
There we go. We gonna catch it. We gonna get this going. We gonna fix it. I'm being the old dude on Insta now, like looking like this.
That is quite okay.
What's up, Mama? How you doing? I ain't talked to you
Oh,
in
I
4 million years.
know. I know. I'm fine. How you been?
I've been busy, same as you.
Yeah, and grades were due today, so I was doing that
Oh
when I woke
Lord
up. Like,
Jesus.
we could stay home and do our grades, but
Oh,
and
must be nice.
hello, Mr. Saunders. How are you?
Good evening. How you guys doing? I'm in the car because I'm always last minute, but hello. How you guys doing?
No problem.
Good,
I'm
good.
fine. I'm fine. But we
Good,
just
good.
trying to get things situated over here.
Yeah, we're gonna
Take
make
it,
it happen.
take your
Yeah.
time.
He was already something already came in the room sideways. I might go ahead and put my black forces on if it's gonna be that type of.
You was IG live pimping.
Hey,
Like, hey, I'm showing my age when we talking about parking lot pimping and stuff.
hey, wait, hey,
The
hey. If it's gonna be like that, I might have to go put my black forces on so I can see. I had,
black
I
forces.
had them on. I had them on yesterday. It was serious business. No games was being played.
I know that's right.
No games was being. It's a warning. It's a warning.
It's a warning for real.
It's, one of my kids like, you're not really like that. It's like you already know better. I don't need these shoes. I'm just letting y'all know how to come at me today.
I
That's
know
how I'm
that's
coming,
right.
walking in the door.
I know that's right. Well, I want to thank you both for being a part of this conversation.
Absolutely.
I always try to mix it up and find, some good folk. Hello, everyone joining in. Welcome. I just always try to find some good folk to have these good conversations because I don't go in the teacher's lounge, right? And a lot of times we get in our silos as teachers and we begin to have these conversations and we have no one to listen to us because it'd be some very good conversations, as you all know. And also have my good girlfriend on here, Mrs. Dominic, which she never want to come on alive, but I'm gonna try and get her next time to join us. But let's just start the conversation opening up talking about COVID. And I know a lot of us, COVID has taken us into a 180 as far as changing and teaching
Absolutely.
and how it relates to our pedagogical practices, what we do, classroom management, all these things we had to learn like all at once. And I don't think parents really understood the pressures that we had. We had to teach these children during the pandemic, even when we were in quarantine. It was like extremely difficult, and we had to take care of our own families and we have to take care of other people's children. So
Exactly.
yeah, so it's great that I have Mr. Lavan on here, who's an administrator, and he can give us more of a us teacher folk, Mr. Saunders, right?
Right, exactly.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't make me one of them real early. Y'all trying to.
Well, I know I'm not. I stay away from admin, because some of them, because all
We
of
not
them.
all bad. We not all bad.
I agree with him. They're not all bad. He's
We
right.
not
Right,
all
they're not all
bad.
bad.
We not all bad, but that's all right. I can.
Yeah. We do have some that are on our side.
The
Absolutely.
ones
gonna
that
play
were
my
great
position.
teachers before.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Can I say that, Mr. Lavan? Are you? Because I know it's folks on your team that you like, you know what I mean? So, but we're not doing that. So
Don't put me in a situation where you trying to give me the same. See that?
Well, we're not doing that. But when we start talking about COVID, right? So
Right.
I want us to have a real courageous and honest conversation. And I know we have parents on here. I also have my constituents. I also have other fellow teachers, administrators, and I know you all do too. So let's really get into it prior to, before I even start talking about your bios and how great both of you are.
Thank you.
uh, I want to just talk about that. But first, introduce yourselves and talk about who you are and how you can add to this conversation.
Mr. Administrator, you go first.
I should have known this was a setup, man.
Set the
God.
tone.
Tough
Set the
crowd
tone.
already.
Lead us.
My name is Ray Lavan. I currently have the honor of serving as the Director of Fine Arts for Goose Creek CISD, located in Baytown, Texas, which is essentially Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Just so y'all know. So H-Town, stand up. Born and raised in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Proud Louisiana boy. So, we rep still. I started my career as a band director. I have a music background, so I was in the classroom for 8 years. And actually, this year is I call it my 50-50 year. I've been an administrator for 8 years too. So now I'm split right down the middle as far as experience. So I've had the pleasure of, I'd say my pathway was a little atraditional because I've been an assistant principal at middle school, assistant principal at high school, academic dean at a large high school. Then I was a high school principal. And then I was a director of fine arts in 2 different positions. So
Awesome.
Here I am. I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I've seen both sides, seen all sides. So I'm blessed to have a unique perspective. So hopefully I can speak to a little bit of everything. I promise I'm not the enemy, no matter how they're trying to set me up. So here I am, happy to be here, honored to be here.
Welcome. Sounds good. As for myself, my name is Earl Saunders. I am a teacher here in Newark, New Jersey. I've been teaching you teach so long you kind of forget. I think it's 18 at this point. For 18 years. The whole time I've taught has been elementary school, so I've been working with the babies. I started with 2nd grade. I did that for about maybe 6-7 years. Then I looped 1 year with one of my classes, and I never looked back. I think 3rd grade is like the perfect situation for me. They're still a little immature, but they're becoming independent, so they're moving into their independency. I love it. I can't see myself working in any other grade level. And another thing is, you don't have too many men in that position. I work around a lot of women. I go to meetings. I'm like me and like 2 other guys there. So I think that's key to see a male in that age group. Because when I was growing up, I didn't have a male teacher. I can't remember when I first had my male teacher. So those things kind of play into my mind. I say, this is where I want to be at. This is where I'm going to stay at. And like I said, it's easier to mold these young ones, and hopefully, when they get older and they get into the middle school, high school position, hopefully they'll take something from you. But yeah, like I said, it's a blessing working with the little ones. I love it. You get a little bit of love, you get a little bit of this, you get a little bit of that, but it's definitely a pleasure. Definitely.
Yeah. So see, and I did this purposely, strategically. All right. And I apologize. I said Lavan. I'm country.
I'm sorry about the light. I'm trying to maneuver. I apologize.
Yeah, he gonna get it straight. He trying to maneuver here and there. So I strategically wanted like an administrator so I can have a perspective. That's why I had Mr. Lavan on here. And I'm high school, and I asked Mr. Saunders because I wanted his perspective as far as with the babies. So we have 3 different perspectives coming from 3 different arenas. So I want us to like dive in here. So I'm going to say this. COVID was great for me. I liked it. I didn't have, because I was 95% paperless before COVID.
Okay.
And I was teaching special education courses, and I was a math teacher. So, of course, pencil and paper came in handy when we were in class and, for certain projects and certain things. But majority of my work was online. Because of my school district, we use a graphing calculator that's online. They had imposed that like maybe a year before COVID happened. So majority of the students were using an online calculator, and majority of the things were online anyways, right? We just didn't have Zoom and the portal up and running. But we had Google Classroom.
Yeah.
So when we quarantined, I was able to, I don't know what Mr. Saunders did, and I was able to go and look at all these IG teachers that were predominantly white, and I'm gonna say that, that had their classrooms like doing all of these things online, and they had all these sponsorships from these various different, what should I say, software programs. So I was just modeling and mimicking some things that I saw for other math teachers that were doing. The only thing I struggled in was special education case management online, because we couldn't get the parents in person. So, we couldn't get via email or via Zoom. But my special ed days had came to an end like shortly thereafter while we were quarantining that first year. But I enjoy it. And even we went back for a snow day and we were synchronous. And I kind of like miss it, But that's not the case for a lot of teachers. I'm like in that small percentage, of teachers who adapted very easily and that were tech savvy. Now, I must say, if you were not a tech savvy teacher prior to
Absolutely.
quarantine or COVID, it was probably one of the most hard or difficult experiences that you could have ever had. I've had my teacher friends like crying, what I mean? Like in tears and very upset. I took on a couple, other jobs and responsibilities for my other fellow teachers because it wasn't affecting me as much. So I just spread myself throughout my department to try and help and do professional developments and things like that. But that was my take. I liked it. But let's get Mr. Saunders' perspective.
You tried to do me again. I saw it. So I didn't catch it, but I saw it. I don't miss much now.
I'm going to go the total opposite. It was stressful. Mm-hmm. It was a lot. Oh my gosh. If I didn't love teaching as much as I did, that would have probably been the end for me. Yeah. I know it was the end for a lot of people. That a lot of people did leave teaching because of that, but it was stressful. Like you said, we're on opposite spectrum. You have older kids; they're a little bit more tech savvy. I've had kids who don't have as much experience on the computers, experience with Google Classroom. So just imagine teaching that brand new from home on a computer. So when we initially went into quarantine, which was March, if I can't remember whatever year that was, and we had a few months left in the school year. Yeah, that went a little bit more smooth because we were already used to it. So my kids were already used to it. We were on the computer, doing Google Classroom, doing any other resources that we normally use a computer, so they were okay. When September came, that's when the fun began. These were brand new kids coming from second grade. A lot of them have never used Google Classroom, used any other resources that that I was used to using. It just simple things, logging on the computer, typing. It would take hours just to type sometimes a simple sentence. I'm gonna say hours, but it take a long time just to type a simple sentence for them. Just be able to share their screen so I could help them. Like I said, it was a lot of the simple things was hard for these babies, and like I said, they weren't used to it. They weren't used to the computer. They weren't used to logging on. They weren't used to doing all that stuff. So it was stressful, and then I felt helpless a lot because I couldn't really give them the help that they needed. I mean, some kids will be at home frustrated. I don't know how to do this. I don't know where this button is. I don't know what this is. And I would try my best, trying to guide them, and it just didn't work. They were, and I don't want to say clueless as a bad word. They just didn't know. And I mean, that's all it was. They didn't know. And then sometimes they had older siblings. I would say maybe go get an older sibling, but sometimes they're in class as well. Yeah. So they can't leave from what they're doing. But that helped a little bit. Sometimes parents, they're not very familiar with technology. So like I said, it was a struggle. You had kids though. You had a few. I mean, you did have some who were on it. They were ready to go. The parents were on it. But like I said, for the ones who that just struggle with just the basics, I felt so bad for them. I took it as far as I would work with them after hours as one-on-one. I would FaceTime parents just to see what's going on in the house, just to help them. Like anything I could do
Yeah.
just to help them, because it was rough for the babies. It was really, really rough. And my thing was, I said I would try to make it as easy as possible. Make it as easy as possible. I don't want to give them too much, because I'm not there to hover over them and say, okay, this is how you do this is how we do this is how we do that. So yeah, it was total opposite. It was stressful. Like I said, just what's going on, it just what's happening in your own life added on to that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I pushed through, man. I couldn't wait. You wanted to go back home. I couldn't wait to go back in the building and be around kids and assist them and help them and show them how to do this and the third, is physically be there. And when we went back, I was like, whew, yes. But yeah, it was total opposite. It was stressful. I don't even know, it was stressful. Like I said, I felt hopeless at times. Like I felt like I wasn't giving them what they needed, and I felt like they deserved better. But like I said, it can't be too hard on yourself, because there's not much you can do. I'm at home, they're there, so they're at home, I'm at home. So I did take it. I was a little hard on myself at times.
Yeah. And just because I was good on the curriculum and teaching side did not mean that I didn't struggle in other areas. Like I totally agree. I wanted to be in person because I'm an extrovert, because I miss being around my kids, right?
Yes.
But I struggled with getting kids to my class. You know. I had all these things ready, all the bells and whistles and the spinners, and you can have all the stuff you want, like sitting in place. I was all over the top, right? But when 2 kids show up out of 25, that's a problem.
That was a big issue.
And you know, they used to make us take attendance. I remember administrators like jumping in on our Zooms, and we have 2 kids, and then they're asking us questions like, where's your students? And I'm like, and it depended on what mood or whatever was going on with the administrator, like what they were on. We didn't know like how we can get these kids like to our classrooms virtually. So yes, I struggled with that. And I totally agree, Mrs. Saunders. It was new, and I can't imagine, right? Having little babies. I had a second grader at the time. My daughter was in the second grade when she started, and that was a disaster.
I could imagine. Yes.
Yeah, her teacher was a disaster. He was retiring. He was like in his late 60s, so you can imagine.
So and I'm pretty much out the door.
Ain't no age, but I'm just saying, like, she didn't learn anything unless I taught her that year, because it was like a waste, and it was a struggle. It was really a horrible struggle. So
yeah,
Mr.
Really quick, I don't mean to cut you off. Really quick, with the absences, that was rough too. A lot of kids weren't showing up. I had some kids I could probably count on my hand how many times I've seen these kids. Yeah, that was rough. That part was rough too. Some kids, I don't even know how some of them may have looked. That's how much they've talked to, join our meetings. But yeah, that part was tough too, the absences.
And a big thing that I used to struggle with too, also, and I know both of you can relate, is I know, but teaching the special ed self-contained courses and co-taught courses, I knew the kids that I had were in abusive situations, right? Or they were at home and they were hungry all the time. Or when they came to school, they were hungry. I used to, I was the counselor. I was the, the girlfriend that they needed to talk to. I was all these different things, girlfriend as in female to female,
Absolutely.
But gotta clear that up.
Yeah.
But I was concerned about my kids being around their parents for long, extensive periods of time in abusive households, or households ridden with drugs, right? Or it was a lot of different elements, and I was scared when I didn't see like a couple of my students for like a couple months, and then they popped up on the Zoom, and I'm like, are you okay? What's going on? So it was really a stressful situation as far as
I'm not sure if you mentioned it. Where do you teach? I'm sorry.
Oh, I teach in Virginia. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's in the suburb of DC.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm in more of a city-fied area. But Newark, oh my God, I have a good friend that is from Newark. So
It's tough. It is.
yeah, it's tough. Yeah. And if you received all the brunt of COVID with dealing with poverty too, because
Yes.
and the racial inequities we had.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I just want to say before we let the administrators open up things,
I got bullet points for all of y'all. Y'all just I got a rebuttal for it all. No, I'm playing. I'm playing.
Oh, and before you say this, before you go on, I just want to say, and I want to hear from parents too, because as a parent, I had, like I said, at the time I had a second grader, and then she went to third grade virtually learning. But it was no way that my kid couldn't get out the bed and I didn't have certain measures in place for my child, right? Absolutely. And I know everybody's situation is different. But my thing is, I could never, and I still can't wrap myself around the fact that how can your child not go to school with the equipment that the district have given you, with the internet that the district is paying for, why you can't get your child to school in front of the computer in the house. So that's what I toggle, back and forth. And I'm not here to insult any parents, because I know parenting is very hard. But we need to talk about that too, right? Because I want to have this conversation. I want parents to explain to us why your kid couldn't show up for class. Help us understand too. You know what I mean? So go ahead, Mr. Administrator.
All right. I feel like I'm on Undisputed. Like I'm either Skip or Shannon. I don't know which one I am right now. I'm one of them. But COVID hit in an interesting part for me, because it was in the spring of my first year as a principal, and then in the fall I was promoted to director of fine arts. So I kind of got half and half. So it's two very different experiences. So I was blessed to be the principal of a credit recovery high school. So it was for kids came to my program who were academically deficient. They needed to recover credit in order to get them on the way to graduation. So my spiel was, if a traditional campus, a normal, conventional campus was a hospital, my campus was the ICU. They needed academic intensive care.
That's right.
And we took great pride. I had an amazing staff. We were blessed to be really, really successful and set the bar very, very high and make a big turnaround in culture and a big turnaround in results as well as tangible results. But whenever everything shut down, to me, it really exemplified that particular saying, when you get thrown out of the plane and you're knitting the parachute on the way down. That's literally what it was, because we're figuring it out as we go.
Yes.
The thing is with the pandemic, everybody became a first-year teacher all over again. Everybody became a first year, so it became the scale slid away from expertise and more towards adaptability.
Yeah.
You needed to use your expertise, but some of those conflicts that you have, well, you shouldn't do this, but you should do this. Or when I was in the classroom, you should do this, but no, you don't know what you're talking about anymore because we do that now. Those types of conversations, it was all rendered moot.
Yeah,
because the way that we do business has fundamentally changed forever. We are never going to be in the same education business that we were in before COVID-19. It will never happen at all. It's over. So the beautiful part about being on my campus is about a quarter of all of our kids' schedules were on a software program called Edgenuity, and it's just so they could recover credit. So everybody touched Edgenuity at some point in the day. No matter if you had a full schedule, everybody had at least one class. So that meant that every single child under our care knew how to use this program. So it was the easier transition for us whenever we went online, because we just went full Edgenuity.
That's right.
Just went full Edgenuity, just went straight into there. All the kids knew how to do it. I only had about 2 or 3 teachers that weren't familiar with the program. They just taught straight face to face. So we had a couple of teachers we had to train up, but other than that, we were pretty good. We were pretty straight. And I was forward thinking at the time because I had a grant that I received funds from. So we had enough Chromebooks for our campus to go 1-to-1. So I was very proud. Hey, next year we're going to go 1-to-1. It's going to be a big deal. You know, I used to call my little campus that was kind of tucked away. We were little Wakanda. Nobody really knew what we was doing over there, but what I called the Wakanda effect. Whenever you broke the plane of the door, like, whoa, what are y'all doing in here? This is crazy, because we were very proud of the strong culture that we had. We were very strong. We were very proud of the environment that we created for our students. And you talked about students coming from rough backgrounds and abusive things. Remember, I have the credit recovery kids. So at this point, if you want to put it on the pie chart, if you got that 5 to 10% of your campus that has those horror stories, that's unfortunately, right. That was the majority. That was flipped for us. The majority of them had some sort of issue, some worse than others, but everybody was coming with a difficulty. But we wanted to be that fortress to shield them from all of that. Look, no matter what, if you come to school, you're going to get loved. You're going to feel loved, valued, and wanted, and create a strong culture to where, look, everybody else might tell you what you can't do. We're going to tell you what you can do.
Absolutely.
I personally outlaw deficit language on my campus. You do not have the right or the capacity to tell a child what they cannot do.
Come on, brother.
You have absolutely no right to do that. And you and I were going to have a very tough conversation if I caught you in the act of that. We were extremely consistent, but that's part of the culture that we created. So it was a big deal. We were going to do 1-to-1. Everybody was on board. It was fantastic for next year. Then COVID hit. Then everybody went 1-to-1. So, well, we were prepared. We had all the devices there. We just had to hand them out. So that part was beautiful for us. And everybody stayed on board. Everybody did a really good job. We actually were able to raise our graduation rate by a considerable amount, by like 25%. As a result of even through the pandemic. So it was a really cool experience for that. So it went about as smooth as we could, knitting that parachute on the way down. However, whenever I became the director of fine arts, that's a completely different situation. How do you teach a child to play an instrument over Zoom?
Yeah.
How do you, something that's delicate like a clarinet and band class? There's a very certain way we have to teach you how to put that together. And if you don't, you're going to break it. And the second you break it, where are you going to bring it to get fixed?
Yeah.
In the middle of a quarantine. So that was an entirely different set of circumstances, as well as aerosol studies. Like we're scared to breathe. We're scared. We're wearing masks. So is the virus airborne? So is it dangerous for us to play wind instruments or sing and not spread the virus? There were lots of schools that we are not singing.
Yeah.
It's not happening. Or we're not playing instruments. Those types of things, just out of the fear of what's going on and seeing what the science says. So those were all really big challenges. And I really could relate to what you said, Kat. I got the spinners, I got all the bells and whistles, and nobody's coming to class.
Wow.
One thing I tell leaders that I work with, or just everybody, I even tell my staff, I respect you as an artist. All teachers are artists. All teachers are creators. Yeah. All teachers are leaders as well.
That's right.
Great.
But that's why we get, when I have another administrator or a younger administrator that I'm mentoring, it's like, well, I tried to give this person some feedback and they got all offended. Well, number one, how'd you say it? Number two, what are you talking about? Is this facts? Do you have evidence to back that up? But number two, you need to understand that all teachers are artists and they're sensitive about their stuff.
Right.
Right? They paid their some people paid their real good money on their teachers, pay teachers. I paid $15 for this. And you telling me it doesn't work. You gonna give me the $15 to get it back? That type of stuff. Or legitimately, when you stay up all night and you feel really good about this lesson,
yes,
it may or may not work.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, number one, your feelings are hurt because it's part of your self-expression.
That's right.
teaching any lesson, math, science, English, whatever, I'm really putting my heart and soul in this to try and teach you and try and help you. It's something I've created. Then you have someone that doesn't know what they're talking about, or just coming in my room for just a little bit. I wish they just leave.
Yeah.
That type of situation. You're going to tell me something.
That's right.
About what I've just done.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to build that trust. There
Yeah.
has to be a trust, and we have to build that bridge of perspective.
That's right.
And COVID, I think, has helped that because we're all in the same boat.
Yes.
Because there's this thought of, from a teacher standpoint, you don't know what you're talking about. You hadn't been in a classroom for so long. You're just hurling these things down and making decisions irresponsibly, which some people do. Not going to lie to you. Some people do. Because I had a mentor tell me one time, it is very easy to lose perspective when you stop hearing bells in the Pledge of Allegiance. I let that settle for a minute. When you stop hearing bells, when you stop doing hall duty,
Yep.
when you stop having to duck your head into someone's classroom, those types of situations, when you stop being on a campus, you start losing perspective. No matter how hard you might work at it, no much how much you might prioritize getting on to campuses, there's some perspective that's lost, even if it's really small, and just got to wrap your mind around that.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately. So respecting that, knowing that, hey, I'm in a situation, for us, we're in meetings all day. Okay, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, and this. In the quarantine, I'd have a principal's meeting from like maybe 8 to 11. Then the governor comes on at 2 o'clock, and everything we just talked about is now done for because the plan just changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
The state says this now. So then we got to have another meeting and make another plan that when the governor comes on, maybe in a couple of days, is no good anymore either. So teachers are looking for us for answers that we don't have. So now everybody's frustrated. We want to be able to tell you, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. However, we don't know. It keeps changing. And it's frustrating for everybody because we want to tell you, well, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. And now we got to tell you, okay, but no, for real, this time, this is the plan. This is what we're going to do. Okay, wait, I was lying the last time. I was playing. This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. So all of that inconsistency is wearing on people. And some folks, I'm going to go ahead and call out some of my brothers and sisters in administration. Some of y'all are really feeling like the only thing that motivates teachers is their paycheck, or the only thing that re-energizes them is their paycheck, and that's poor leadership on your part. I'm going to look directly into the camera. That is poor leadership on your part. Because it's really like this. It's really like this.
Yeah.
If you don't understand that we are in the people business, we're in the people business. We serve big people and little people. But ultimately, it is about the people.
That's right.
We are in the people business. What do we really do? Well, we teach. We make sure that we ensure learning for all. And we say the cool stuff like all means all because it sounds good. And all the little sound bites and stuff. But you're not doing that. So now the pandemic is forcing you to do that.
That's right.
It's forcing you to be about what you're talking about. Because it's a pet peeve of mine. People say, well, all means all. Okay. Instructionally, all means all. Okay. Well, why are we not addressing equity in our practices? If all means all instructionally, all means all needs to be in the relationships that we have with our kids and our people.
That's right.
So we need to respect the idea of mental health as it relates to our professionals and understand that we're all under stress. And you have to take that time to do that and prioritize it. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing today? Or just develop that trust with people through consistent action.
That's right.
You do consistent interaction every single day. And if you're not one of those old school folks, I'm the principal, you're the teacher, you do what I say. And because when I was a teacher, I'm the teacher, you're the student, you do what I say. And we don't take any time to develop any relationships or develop trust, then you got nothing because now you don't have those interactions.
But what about when the parents, I know because normally we don't like things we don't understand, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's human nature, right, to not trust initially. But when parents, had to jump into another role in their households, as I call it the side teacher, right? I don't want to say parents were actually teaching, right? But I call them the side teachers because a lot of parents, first of all, we send our kids to school to get educated, and we don't feel like that's something we should have to do also, right? Yes, we'll help out with homework, but the main goal is for the teacher to teach my child. So when, COVID started, we were on lockdown, a lot of parents became frustrated. It was all over social media. You can see it in the emails, especially like high school parents. They were sending hate mail.
Oh, wow.
Why you worrying about what my child is doing at home? You need to worry about, it was really frustrating for a lot of people, and a lot of people directed that energy many different places. And a lot of the teachers got a lot of that flack, and then, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later about how bonnets on screen became something that I wasn't tolerating. I'm sorry, Mr.
No, trust me.
I mean, it was a lot of different things we had to tackle, so as a parent, right, like to administrators, like, did y'all really feel like teachers were not already stretched thin to the point where you all would have a meeting and then you all tell us something, we have to regurgitate something that we left out of that meeting and come up with, and then it changed the next day? But what professional developments did you all have in order to help us mentally? Because nobody really said, oh, we're here, teachers, y'all need to have mental health days, or y'all need to have a break, or let, as an administrator, let me come on and have a one-on-one or help you, instead of trying to write up a teacher, because it was teachers getting written up during COVID and everything else too. So I think that element might have been missing. I think a lot of people pointed the finger at educators.
Well, let me answer your question with a question.
Yes.
How are you going to have a professional development about something that's happening as we speak? There's no way. There's no way we can sit down and have a training when people aren't truly grasping the mental health pandemic that's going alongside with the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm one of those people, and I can only speak for me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm just speaking for myself. I always have felt that we should always lead with empathy.
Yes.
And that particular definition, and we have to go through this pandemic with empathy, is, using your brain to put yourself in the shoes of another person. Empathy and sympathy are not the same thing. And too many people interchange that. That's not feeling sorry for someone. That's taking a moment and using your brain to appreciate that person's situation, whether you agree with it or not. So we can't play, the whose is worse trauma game, because if someone else is cracking under the pressure and you still feel okay, you can't always look at that person and just call them soft. Well, you should be able to handle this.
Yeah.
Well, who are you to say that?
Yeah.
You don't have a right to say that to anyone.
But that was happening.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Or it's kind of like the same thing with childhood trauma. Well, I did all of that and I came out all right. Well, did you? Did you really? Did you really? Because if you feel the right to pass that trauma down to people, hurt people. So you didn't come out all right.
Absolutely.
Just because you were traumatized, that doesn't make it a rite of passage that you have to pass along to a child. That's kind of one of my things. If you do this, I'm just telling you this, me. As long as you do right by my children and you don't get out of pocket, that's my 2 rules. Anybody that knows me, if you don't get disrespectful, unprofessional, sideways, and you do right by my children, there's a lot of leeway there. We can work out a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you a lot of autonomy to create any idea that you have that makes sense to help kids. We're going to do it. But when you do wrong by my children, you get a whole other dude.
Well, you need to come to Alexandria, Virginia, and be an administrator in my building.
Hold on now. It's a little too cold up there.
Well, they compensate you with more money.
Well, hold on. Well, hold on. Don't ask me nothing like that. Don't ask me nothing like that on the live now.
Because, I
My
want to work.
boss might
I
be
want to work
watching.
under
Don't do
you,
that.
sir. I don't
Exactly.
But I
want.
mean, but seriously, if you don't already think about
Yeah.
it being people based and being empathetic, it's you just have to think that way. And I'll be honest with you, I'm going to be vulnerable. And I think a lot of administrators or just people in general have this particular weakness. I suffer from what I like to call more money does come more problems. I can guarantee, as a central office person now, indeed, more money, more problems,
And more
larger problems.
responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I don't
I
want
had
that.
a lot of trouble expressing empathy. I felt empathy, but I couldn't express it to someone else the way that I thought in an effective way because I had very little empathy for myself.
So I
Like I
wonder
gave
if y'all
myself a
were
hard time.
infighting like we were infighting. Like, were you all like saying, okay, we got to do this, but I don't think this is right for my teachers? Did you encounter a lot of your fellow administrators that weren't fighting for the same things that you were fighting for and just didn't know? And I know we were in a pandemic, but are we still?
Absolutely, absolutely. Everybody's got their opinion about what we should do.
So we're
Sometimes it's like, no, I think we should do this, or that shouldn't do that. Well, that's all fine and good. That works for you, but like the Bible is for me in my house. This is what we gonna do. As well as the same feelings of throwing your hands up in frustration. Look, I have no idea what to do. And
yes,
there were some times I felt like I was failing my teachers, I was failing my kids, failing my even as when I became a director. Now all of a sudden I'm responsible for this super large staff, like 5 times larger than what I was responsible for as a principal. And I'm failing these people because they're looking to me for guidance. What can we do? How can we figure this out? And we're all figuring it out together. I think some of that is leading with humility. And the
yes,
same thing with teachers. You have to be humble. Look, guys, I don't know.
yeah.
But we're gonna figure it out together.
So Miss
Go ahead, Kat. I'm sorry.
No. You're fine. No, I totally agree. And humility had to come into place because a lot of people, we didn't know, some of us in some days, we didn't know what the hell we were doing, right?
Yeah.
And we had to play the part. We had to fake it till we made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Mr. Saunders, with the babies,
Yes.
were you able to, how was your attendance rate in the beginning?
Um, let me think back. For the most part, we had the majority of the kids come. I would say it worked out pretty well. There weren't too many kids that were absent, but the ones that didn't come, they weren't there at all. I mean, they would miss tons and tons of days, maybe 80% of the time.
Yeah.
We would constantly reach out, and parents weren't very receptive. Uh, they gave attitudes. I didn't understand why. We were just trying to get your kid into school, make sure that they were okay. And kind of speaking on the administrative part, they want us to do check-ins, just make sure they're okay. That was their biggest thing. So, I tip my hat to our administrators for that. Just checking if they're okay. But the babies were coming and the parents were on them. And I think that for them, that they just wanted to be there. Like kids are used to, they had a routine. So they want to come, they want to get on the computer, they want to be around their friends, they want to be they want to be around their teacher, they want to interact, they want to do different things. So, like I said, I'm not here to blame any parent, but if they didn't show up, then of course, I mean, they're not independent. So if they didn't show up, it could be a case of maybe the parent doesn't want them to come, maybe the parent didn't wake them up, things of that nature. I want to kind of go back because you were speaking on situations with the parents. A lot of my parents found a new respect for teachers. When I mean, I would get messages like, "Man, I'm struggling with this kid. I'm struggling with this. This is hard. It's a lot." I would get so many different messages day after day after day. I had a parent at the end of the school year. He sent me a message. He said, he it's funny, but it's not. He said, "I couldn't really stand teachers at one point, but just gave me a whole he just came out and said I couldn't really stand teachers at one point, but just gave me a whole another perspective of what you guys go through." I tip my hat to. And I think just them being home with the kids from that 8 to 3 period and seeing and just having to deal with them, it is a lot. It is a lot. And I think they and just that just kind of made them a little bit more compassionate, with
Yeah.
what teachers go through. And I was like,
Mhm.
look, man, it's tough, but like I said, as far as attendance, they were good. Like I said, I just had a few kids who just didn't show up, but I think the kids just wanted to be there. They wanted to be there. They want to see their friends. They want to see the teachers. They want to go to the different classes. So the little kids, they didn't really have a big issue with the attendance.
Yeah, and what you're saying is that a parent had had a newfound respect for teachers, and it's unfortunate that a lot of parents didn't really know their kids, right? Until
Yes.
and
Amen.
being a side teacher, and then they figured it out. They was like, oh well, hell, Miss Lewis calling me every Monday and Tuesday. I can see why she was doing that, and maybe I shouldn't have had such a bad attitude. Maybe I should have listened when she said Derek called her a B. You know what I mean? So I mean, in the special
I'm gonna jump in right here. I posted a little thing at the beginning of the pandemic. I literally put this on my Facebook. I forgot when. It's gonna come up in my time hop at some point. Some of y'all are finding out them people at that school wasn't lying on your baby.
Woo! Say that again.
I will. Some people, I'm a clap so you know I'm serious. Some people found out that them people at that school wasn't lying on your baby.
Hold on, let me chime in real quick. It's funny you say that because I had a young lady, and when I mean her father would he weekly he would say, when are you guys going back to school? When are you guys going back to school? When is school coming back? When are you guys going back? I said, I'll let you know as soon as. And when we initially came back, they only we had a cap, so only a certain amount of kids could come in. Oh, you best believe he got hurt in that building.
Well, one thing I noticed, honestly, in interacting with some parents, because a lot of them were very concerned, obviously, but I'm going to coin a term because there are so many parents that do a great job and they're really active and they get stressed out because they want the best for their kids. They're trying to figure it out. They're trying to do their best. However, there are some, the minority. There are some, I call, you know, how we have latchkey kids, I call them turnkey parents. They literally, from 8 to 3, they're yours.
That's right.
From 8 to 3, don't call me, don't bother me.
I'm at
From
my
8
job.
to 3, they belong to you. So they don't want you to just educate them. You said a word earlier. You said, you know, primarily the teachers need to focus on educating my child. There are some that, okay, well, you can feed them, raise them, educate them, this, that, and the third, and expect for you to do the entire job of being their pseudo parent, and then drop, you know, then they come back home because they interact with you or with us. Well, no, really with you. Those in the classroom interact with the kids way more than administrators do. We try good ones try really hard.
They do.
Like when I was an assistant principal, I was the dude that had the handshake with everybody. You know, like, hey, how you know, and that's one thing I miss about being on
I
the
miss
campus.
that too,
Like, hey, man, what's up? How you doing? You know, how
Yes.
many points did you score last night? Did you get crossed up? I heard you got crossed up. You tripping, Miss Lavan? Yeah, it's like, I mean, you limping today, so I mean, what you talking about? You know, just stuff. I really do miss that, and developing the relationship with the families too. So that way, it's like, man, you don't want me to have to call Miss Barbara. Do I really have to call Miss Barbara today?
Yes.
Nah, you good, you good, you good, you good. She just started this new job. You know, she just started this new job. I can't be calling her. You know, those types of relationships and things that go like that. But some people, it's just like, why are you bothering me? From 8 to 3, he's your problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a quote. I know many
people
that have been told that.
He is 100% correct.
When we come back to school, because these teachers ain't serving our kids and they not doing this and they not doing that. Well, unfortunately, some of y'all have been hit with the reality of, like you said, who your children really are.
Yep.
Yeah,
and you got to take that responsibility.
And understanding how they need to learn. And I held a workshop with the Sigmas, that fraternity, and it was parents on there, you know, just trying to figure out, like, well, my theme was, what I had to cover was your kid's learning style, like helping your kid and finding out what their learning style is. But being that I had, you know, that it was maybe about 50 parents that I was talking to on the Zoom. I kid you not. that were trying to find out like what their kids' learning style was, how can they help them, how to make the room aesthetically pleasing for their kid, like
Yes.
what things they had to put into place for their kids, like and I was, you know, from my SPED side, I was like, you know, introducing like little fidget sticks and balls and Velcro strips, all these things that you can put and get the TV out of the room and make sure the cell phones are locked up during time, because they shouldn't be on their cell phone if they're virtually learning, because they're gonna be like this and they're not gonna be paying attention. So it was a lot of things, and it was exceptional parents. Like it was tons, and still millions of and thousands of parents.
Absolutely.
That did an absolute like tremendous job at switching gears and helping their kids. But then it was some parents that really did not. I don't know if they didn't know or they just didn't try. Right. And kids are only strong as their parents. That's how I believe. Like, you're only strong as your leadership. But I really had a nice talk with one of my administrators, and I was like, how y'all gonna help these parents that can't get these kids to school, like on camera? Like, there needs to be a program to help just them, right? Instead of talking about parents as a whole, let's find out who the attendance issues are, who these kids are, and let's go to the parents, because if a kid is not showing up, then it's the parents' fault, right? If the kid is in the 2nd grade or in the 10th grade, it still falls on the parent. So,
and honestly, some of that is not necessarily irresponsibility. There's a middle part of where some people are dealing with some very real situations and they don't want their business out there.
That is true.
You know, there are some people, they send their kids and you would never guess it that they're struggling.
That's right.
Or that they're ashamed of their living situation.
Yeah.
Or you know, some of these kids, you never know. Some of them are literally homeless. Like, they literally show up. They know people where they can go take a shower and change clothes and wash their clothes, but they have no place to stay.
Yeah.
So now some of that is going to be put on blast.
Yeah.
So a lot of that isn't necessarily like, I'm not seeing about my kid trying to get them to school. And I know that's not what you're trying to say, but just for the sake of the conversation, I think it's important that we acknowledge that.
Oh, yeah.
That, you know, you're looking around and I don't want to see this. Or the kid being ashamed.
Yes.
If they're in a bad environment to where I'm supposed to go to school, but, you know, there's drug paraphernalia all around me. I don't want my teacher to see that.
You can't find
my mom and dad in trouble. Those types of things.
Yeah. I think that's where the compassion comes in. At that part right there, definitely. I learned to be, and I'm not the rah-rah teacher. I'm not a mean person. I'm one of the most understanding teachers because I get it, and I come from where a lot of these kids come from. So it's easier for me, you know, to understand what they're going through. So I think that's just, you know, that's helpful. But like I said, just some of the things that parents would text me, like personal stuff. It's just sometimes you would just break down like, wow, I can't believe we're going through this, and then you have to learn to be compassionate. And that pandemic made, hopefully, I'm not gonna say it made everyone, but hopefully it made teachers, parents, administrators, everybody a little bit more compassionate, like you said, a little bit more empathetic, because people are going through so much, and you just you got to be mindful of that. Even now, people are still going through stuff. It's not over yet. It's still, you know, still going on. It's still real, you know, still here. And like I said, we've been going through kids going in and out of class for the last few months, and I'm not the type of person, why is this kid not here? No, you know, are you guys okay? What's going on? Do you need me? Can I help? What can I do? Whatever you need, I'm here, because, like I said, it's a lot. We have our own things that we're going through. So just imagine. So if we're going through stuff, I'm pretty sure everyone else, and you know, is going through things as well. So if it can happen to them, it can happen to us. So we just have to be a little bit more compassionate. And I think, and like I said, hopefully, parents, administrators, teachers, everyone just got that compassion in their heart to just be like, you know what, let's just help each other and just, you know, be there for one another, because we're still in the midst of this, and it's here and it's real, you know, still real.
Yeah, and it's not going anywhere anytime. So, in person, are you guys in person or?
Yeah, we are back. We had a little 2-week break, but we're back. We're back in the building. But like I said, we have kids in and out, because, you know, with COVID, so, you know, with the quarantine and everything, so just safety precautions. But we're here.
And that's another thing. How do you all, I know a lot of teachers are having a hard time with that in and out, right? And then they're not, if we don't show symptoms, then we have to stay, you know what I mean? Or you have to report back to work, or you have, well, we have, I don't know about y'all, but we have COVID notifications probably average about 10 every couple days. They're saying it's like new cases in the building. We have over 4,000 students in our building. So my classes are at 28. It's capped at 28 students, and you know my room isn't that big, but we're all mashed in. So there's no such thing as social distancing when
Yeah.
your kid is at school. So in class or at lunch. So I think that it has. You are very right, Mr. Saunders, and that it has taught me to be more compassionate, more lenient, and more empathetic when it comes to grading.
Yes.
Yeah.
Late turn-ins. I don't even put a deadline on my work. The quarter ends on this date. Just make sure that it's turned in. I don't know what can happen from like on a Tuesday when I give a test up until like next week. I don't know what's going to happen in between time. So I don't do the late takeaways or drop it at 10% for every 5 days that you're late. I think a lot of that stuff for great teachers that understand, a lot of that stuff went out the window, right? Because we have to accommodate what's going on now. And if you are still a teacher that is still grading harshly to the point where you're not allowing for things to happen that can happen, shame on you.
No,
And
I agree.
I'm sorry. I know a lot of teachers are like, well, I'm still, no, you really have to meet the kids where they are. These kids are scared. These kids are gaining anxiety.
Yeah.
They're depressed. I have high schoolers that just need a break. I can see them breaking down, right? And I give them their space. And I don't even teach special ed courses no more. So I'm talking about regular education, general education students who are fearful of what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really, it became a very good time for us as teachers to build relationships with parents.
Yes.
Because when we were virtual, I was able to communicate with parents way more than I ever communicated.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't have to run to the car anymore to try and talk to the parent. I would be like, oh, Alicia, where your mom at? She right there. She cooking in the background. Can I talk to you after class is over? You know, so yes, we became more compassionate and empathetic when it came to that. But what are some things, Mr. Saunders, that you felt like you just could not waver academically, like with your students?
I would say just not even attempting, not even trying. Like you mentioned earlier about the words you were saying that these certain words not allowed in your building. That's how in my class, like we're all gonna try. We're all one big family. We're a team. When I tell my kids we're all equal. Whatever is good for you guys, the same for me. The same respect that I give you, the same respect you give me, I give you, and so back and forth. But just attempt to try. Like I said, I don't like the kids who just, I don't know, I can't do it, I can't. Just try. That's all I ever ask, and I'll meet you halfway. And that's always been my big thing. You know,
Yeah.
just don't give up. Don't just say I don't know, because I will give a kid an assignment 2 seconds later. I don't know what to do. I literally just gave it to you. Just try. Give it a try. Just write something. If it's not right, we'll work together. Like I'm big on, and that's one thing that I missed about being physically in the classroom is that one-on-one. Just sitting next to them, have my little group, and we're working and working, we're going, and that's exciting to me because, like I said, you always have your group of kids who struggle, who are always going to struggle. And I was like, let's go. Let's go. I'll call such. You. Let's go do our thing. But when you're on that computer, man, and like I said, they can't even do the simple thing. They can't even find a button. They can't log into something. It took all that away. But I just want them to always try, never give up. Just attempt. Just attempt. And that's my big. Don't turn in any work that you didn't even put any effort into. I'll put out an assignment. 5 minutes later, you're handing it in. That is don't do that.
Yeah.
Do not do that. That
Yeah.
bothers me to the
So
core.
yeah. And I had a problem with we didn't have a dress code, of course, on camera like some Catholic schools and private schools did, because they still had to wear their uniform shirt. I believe a lot of schools had them still in uniform if they were in uniform, just by the top. But I had a problem, y'all, with the pajamas. Did y'all have? I had a problem with coming on camera in pajamas and bonnets and do-rags, all kind. And I had a conversation with my whole class. It was a business law course, and I was like, I'm not feeling it.
You
Y'all
know
gonna have
what?
bonnets.
With the babies, sometimes it's like a rock and a hard place, because if their parents are not there and they're with an older sibling, it's like, I'm like, you know what? Okay, I'll let it pass. I'll let it slide. Like I said, some of them, they're they can barely get up on their own. So if they could just get up and get on the computer, I won't be as upset. But yeah, I think. But your kids are a little bit older, so they're a little bit more responsible. But like I said, these young kids are just getting up. Their parent is not there. Or their parent is leaving them with the responsibility to get up and jog on the computer, and they just roll over and jump on the computer with pajamas on. Sometimes I gotta let it slide.
And I guess you could pick your battles, right?
Yeah,
I know when
absolutely.
we look
Yeah.
at kids, it's probably different. Like, yes, we will want parents to, increase, what's the word for it? Just make sure the respect level and dignity, and you're teaching your kids self-respect, and you're teaching them, even when they're on camera, that they have to look a certain way, or they have to at least be presentable. At least go brush your teeth and brush your hair down, and do those things. But I know that's not always possible.
Yeah.
But when a kid is 15 plus, 14 plus, and you are getting on camera, and I'm telling the administrator, like, Keisha keep coming on camera in her pajamas, laying in the bed, and her bonnet on, or the covers is up here to her face. And a lot of administrators didn't want to deal with that. Well, mine's didn't. He totally ignored me on that front. And that was really that was a bone that I was going to pick, and it was a fight that I was ready to go to war for. And I'm sorry, that was just something for me, because I was teaching a business law course, and I'm teaching astute business students. I want these future leaders of America to understand that you can't go and get on camera looking any kind of way.
Exactly. Yes.
And as a Black student in the class with other ethnicities, I expect certain things from you.
That is true.
And it wasn't until the parent basically cussed me out. Yeah, over the.
It happens, right?
She cussed me on the email. She cussed me out. Then the kid cussed me out. And then the administrator stepped in and supported me. But I really think that we really need to try to instill certain practices with our kids that will help them become successful. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for any parent to do anything super and extra.
Especially at that age level. Definitely.
Yeah, at that age, so you have to show up, ready to go to war, right? And I used to tell them, never go to war without a weapon when we're in class. Why don't you have a pencil? Right? I'm going to supply a pencil for you, but I'm going to ask why you don't have one. Why are you going to war with no weapon? Why your parents, parents don't supply you with the things that you need. And I'm not talking about kids in poverty. I don't teach a lot of those that's in poverty. Okay. So it's a totally different from Newark, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to show up, and I can only talk about Black kids, right? As our Black kids are struggling with everyday issues, we have to teach our kids how to have self-respect. We have to teach our kids how to not come back into the building with your bonnet on. I'm gonna do a whole show on bonnets.
The bonnet show, the bonnet talk.
The bonnet talk, yeah. So I don't want to get off topic.
But some of that.
Mm-hmm.
No, but it's not off topic. I
No,
mean, it's a valid concern. It's definitely something that you deal with, because there was a lack of understanding there.
Yeah.
That's another mentality thing. Okay, to you as a teacher, or to me as an administrator, Okay, you might be on camera, but you're going to school.
Yes.
Yes.
You are going to school.
Correct.
To those that haven't thought of that or haven't articulated that very clearly, it's when I'm at my house. This is what I wear when I'm at my house. So what's the big deal? That they don't see it as, okay, I'm leaving and going. Mentally, they're not making that connection. It's like I'm literally leaving and going to class.
Yeah.
And plus, some of that depends on synchronous and asynchronous. You know, is this a Q&A session, or are we really having a 50-minute class where the lesson cycle is evident, and we still doing it? We just doing it over Zoom or WebEx or whatever it is we choosing to do.
Yeah.
And then you get, I'm sure, in some of the parent cussings that we've all received, how you gonna tell me what to do in my house? This is my house. So you can't determine that. When they go back in your building, they're gonna do it how you want to do it. But this is my house. So there's some of that. There had to be some understanding that had to happen there. You have to be able to articulate that. And I think at the beginning, not everybody thought that would happen. I think there was a lot of assumptions made, and then, you know, again, knitting the parachute on the way down. Well, why wouldn't kids try to look like something on camera and not just roll over in bed and have half their face here because they're laying sideways?
Yeah.
They literally just got one eye open, and you just see their face like this because they literally just flipped the laptop up. A lot of some of these things, and a lot of people weren't supported because I don't think people understood that there was a need for support immediately, to be honest with you.
Did they require you guys to have your cameras on, or the kids didn't have to?
Cameras had to be on, and this was at my previous district, so I'm at a new district now. But they had cameras on. In our meetings, we had to have our cameras on.
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Oh,
You absolutely could. The district I was working at when the pandemic hit, they were no. That was not an option for you. You need to be fully engaged in the meeting and have your camera on.
Yeah.
Oh, so for teachers too, or just admin?
Teachers, admin. Well, I know in, like, for example, in our administrative meetings, you better have your camera on. Like, period, because they didn't want anything to be passive.
Gotcha.
You know, and you know, I would do my part, you know, whenever we'd have a meeting, because it was just one of those things. I made sure I was, you know, not fully suited and booted, but I mean, I was basically professional, you know, from my couch when I was doing this.
Yeah.
But I mean, that effort was made, but those things had to be taught.
That's right.
You know, and because, you know, telling isn't teaching.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of people don't respond to being told.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they have to be taught. Hey, here's the expectation and here's why.
Exactly.
So one of those things that we kind of had to figure out just because. And if that, I know there was a comment, if it's not clearly articulated well from leadership and staff for in person, then they're not going to address for virtual. Exactly. Because if people don't think about that, or, you know, some people, it's not the bad thing for an administrator to come into your room, at least hopefully.
Yeah.
There's never been a room I've walked in where somebody had like hopped up or something like that. And sometimes, you know, you do catch people slipping, and there's people that just don't do their jobs. Every administrator is not the bad guy. Every teacher is not the hero. Let's just be real. And vice versa.
That's right.
Vice versa. I could tell you a real funny story in a minute about how I caught somebody slipping just randomly. I couldn't believe what I saw. But I like to try, and at least for me, I like to just kind of what I call desensitize my teachers. Like, when I show up, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. It should be like, oh, hey, go and do your thing. You need anything? Nope.
Exactly.
Yeah. When I was in the classroom, it didn't matter who.
But they're like that because you have created a relationship where it's not a I gotcha, right?
Hold on. Oh, yeah. I was about to say, you. I was like, hold on now. Wait a minute. Don't put me with everybody. Yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing is, you have to develop that trust. So when you do have to give that feedback, people understand that it's coming from a good place. I call it, my term for it is the silent agreement. And it works with kids, teachers to kids, administrators to kids, just person to person. That silent agreement is this, is we have come to the silent agreement that we have had a consistent level of interactions in our relationship where I understand that you have my best interest at heart. Therefore, I have silently agreed with you that we can communicate on a certain level. I can trust you with things. You can trust me with things. We feel safe. So that way, like for example, as a child, teacher to student or administrator to student, how many times you tell somebody something, you give somebody some feedback or some correction, you can't talk to me that way. My mama don't even talk to me that way. Mm-hmm. Well, who are you? You're not going to talk to me like that. That's an indication, because behavior is communication.
Yeah.
That's an indication we don't have that agreement. We hadn't figured that out just yet.
That's right.
So not to say that they're right to do that, but that's an indication that you don't have that just yet.
Yes.
Sometimes administrators, they think, well, some people, unfortunately, I'm here, you're here, I'm telling you what to do, and this is what you got to do, or I'm giving you some feedback, but the only time that you see me is when I come in with my clipboard to do an observation or to really put you on paper. That's the only time you see me, or the only time that we talk. That's
right.
A problem. Well, we don't have that silent agreement, because when you give me that feedback, I don't think you know what you're talking about, because you hadn't been in here day in and day out. Because it's like an audition. An observation is like an audition. I could have an off day. So if you have an off day, and that's the only time that you see what I'm doing, that's my only feedback, who knows how that could work out for you.
Yeah.
But if I'm in there not every single day, but, I'm in there pretty often, okay, well, maybe I might come back, because, Ms. Lewis, she normally on it, but this kid really just cut the fool today. So, hey, you need me? You got this? Okay, cool. That's good, because I hate that. Like, to be in a situation to where kids are kids at some point. I'm more concerned with how the teacher handles it. I expect a child to do something that they're not supposed to do at some point. But if you ignore it, don't handle it, don't deal with it, or handle it inappropriately, then that's the issue. But that's just, to me, that's just par for the course, just in my opinion. But back to the parent thing, it's like, I don't know if y'all dealt with this, but just parents not necessarily doing the right thing. Kids sitting there trying to be engaged in your class, and mama walking by in her pajamas. You know what I'm saying? Giving too much to the camera, or this or that, or whatever. What you supposed to do with that,
Yeah.
So, those are all issues and all stuff we had to figure out as we went.
Mm-hmm. And that's true, because I know a lot of us struggle with getting kids on camera, getting the camera. Like I said, I had all the stuff worked out that I thought was sufficient for myself. I even used to go on to my other fellow teachers that I knew were doing like phenomenal jobs. I used to go sit in on their Zooms just so I can learn and see what they're doing, and maybe I can add to my classroom. But that was me, because I am, that type of educator. But I knew it was a lot of educators out there that just didn't want to do anything. All right.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah.
Some of them have too much pride, and they're like, I got everything. I'm good. I don't need to see what everybody else is doing. Or if an administrator sent you, say, maybe you should go look at this person, and they would have an attitude about it. But but I say, why? Nigga, maybe they're doing something you may need to add to what you're teaching. No one's taking away from your teaching, but there's always more you can learn. I'm a life learner. I go to everyone's class and what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on in here? Oh, that looks interesting. Like, I'm always willing to learn new things. But some people, you'll say, why don't you go sit in this class for like 10 minutes? Because I want you to see what this person is doing. Why do I have to sit in this class? I know what I'm doing. Yeah, I get it.
You have to be open to learning, because teaching as an educator is an ongoing experience that you constantly have to learn. And I mostly, not from the professional developments, I learned from my peers, right? I learned, and I attach myself to
I agree.
wrong teachers in the building, whether it's paper pencil or whether whatever their artistry is, okay?
Yeah.
I attach myself to the strong ones so I can continue to learn, right? Because when you don't feel like you need improvement, that's where the problem comes in. And I think COVID exposed a lot of teachers that just didn't have it together prior to COVID, right? And it also exposed a lot of lazy teachers. And a lot of teachers who just didn't want you know what I mean? Like, just that everybody's not a great teacher. Just like you said, every teacher's not a hero. But not to bash those teachers, but when we get to a point where it's going to be our coins taken away from us, I think you do need to quit or find a way to, mitigate or rectify your issues. But I had a problem with some teachers that would come to me, and I was like, well, why are you just not doing this? Because I don't feel like it. I don't feel like I have to do that. They don't pay me enough to do that, or you have
to be there.
you're there, you know what I mean? And I know, we try to, be the nice person, but I think a lot of teachers started leaving because I don't think it was just COVID.
I'm raising my hand in class. In Miss Lewis's class.
Yes.
I'm gonna say this. This might not be popular, so y'all don't drag me before I finish. It's like I truly believe this, and this is true for administrators too. This is true for everybody. If money is your only motivation, if money is your sole motivation, you just out of order, because they're never gonna pay you enough.
Never.
They're never going to pay you enough. If they're waiting for that, if you don't have the work ethic, you don't have the hustle, you don't have the desire to want to learn or desire to improve and to do right by children, because that's ultimately what it is. I'm not doing this because I don't feel like it. That interprets to me as you don't feel like doing right by children, because you need to sharpen your sword to be able to combat everything that's coming at you to fight for these children. These children are behind you. And you're fighting off all of these demons or whatever it is you want to think about. If you're not willing to keep that weapon sharp, then I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, some people, it's just the money doesn't solve everything.
Yeah.
If you can't drive and I buy you a Ferrari, you just gonna not be able to drive a really nice car.
Yeah.
You understand? It's the willingness to use it, because there's somebody winning with what you complaining about right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whatever it is you're complaining about, there's somebody that is absolutely killing it because they got the work ethic and the hustle. Well, I'll do it whenever I make this much.
That is correct.
I'm sorry. I might be stepping on somebody's toes, but I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
No, you're right. It's not going to get any easier. It gets harder and harder every year.
Everybody got that NBA talk with backyard work ethic.
Yeah.
Everybody want to be a beast till it's time to do what beasts do.
Come on now.
That just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah. And
no one has ever paid enough. I have never met a teacher I've never met an administrator that has made enough money. Everybody is underpaid. Everyone is overworked. Everyone is suffering, and the divide kind of bothers me because we're closer than people think. In perspective, it's just sometimes the line gets blurred because we play different positions on the field.
Yeah.
But all the positions are important. So
Absolutely.
Just the whole money thing gets me, because I actually heard an administrator the other day. I don't understand why teachers feel like they're and they drugged the mess out of this guy on Facebook. He put it on a principal group. He had to even delete it because it got rough. I jumped in on him too. But I don't understand why these people feel like they need mental health breaks and why they're struggling so much. They get paid a good wage to do a good job, so they should be re-energized by their paycheck. And yeah, I know, right? Your eyes twitching too. Mine is too. It's like your people hate you. Is what I thought about. Like, who does that?
Yeah.
Like, just who does that? Like that just makes no sense to me. I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
That blows my mind. Maybe I'm triggered a little bit.
And to add to that, and like I said, I like to have these courageous conversations because some people need to know that they're doing wrong. Let's talk about staff members that come on camera in the staff meetings with bonnets on. So, we pajamas on. So
what about principals with bonnets on, Miss Lewis?
I hope not.
What about principals with bonnets on?
I hope not.
Principals with bonnets on.
A head wrap is different from a bonnet, right?
No, ma'am.
You have nice head wrap.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
The principal had a head wrap.
Somebody turn the camera on and I'm just saying, there was the white pajama T-shirt and a very large green bonnet, like this, many moons ago. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ay, ay, ay.
But I'm at my house. I do what I want to do.
No, but we have to be examples. I don't care how we want to say it as educators. You have to be an example. It's plenty of stuff I want to post on social media, but I can't because I'm a teacher, right? Because I don't know which one of my former students or parents. I don't know who's watching me. Principal.
Everyone.
Because one of my principals asked me during evaluation, so what's this podcast you have? I'm like, sir, we're not talking about that because I do that off contract time, right? People watch it, right? So you have to be very leery what you're doing on camera, even what you expect, because you can't expect your kids to be on time for the Zoom and you ain't on time.
Exactly.
Right? And you're in the house. Right. So I think we just have to be very cognizant of what we're doing and what we're preaching, and we're practicing what we're preaching as teachers. But also we need parents to be more understanding because our jobs has become more complex, right?
And very demanding, more demanding.
More demanding. Even though
more complex.
Yeah.
We were still having to come up with how we have a lesson plan, but how we're going to get it online, right? How am I going to be able to assess students online? How am I going to grade it and give them appropriate feedback in a sufficient amount of time? It was a lot of things going on that we had to deal with. How am I, in my lesson plans, I had another box. You know how y'all make us make all these templates with the boxes.
I don't believe. I'm gonna take the arrows, but I'm not a believer. I'm not a believer in that. Just make it happen. Make it make sense.
Exactly.
My eye twitched the other day. I heard about somebody making people do multiple page. I'll say over 10.
Oh.
10 page lesson plans, and I'm like, that is for you. That is not for kids. Don't make a teacher do anything that will not help them be a better teacher in their classroom.
That's right.
Do not make them do a dog and pony show for you.
Yep.
Look, when I walk, just for me, this was my thing, and my teachers looked at me crazy, like they thought I was setting them up, like writing like the educational standard, like out of the education code. So, for example, like in Texas, it's called the TEKS, Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. They have to write the TEK on the board. The student will blah, 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 blah. That's not for the kids. That's for you. Write the objective on the board.
So I can type it while I'm in there?
No. Does this help them? Is this extra thing? And people cut all kinds of flips and put all kind of stuff in the hallway and on the chart paper and this and that. Stop wasting teachers.
I'm going to not comment on that.
Stop wasting teachers. I'm just saying, look, administrators, if you on the call, and I'm going to speak for all the teachers, stop wasting their time.
Come on now.
Stop wasting their time with stuff that's not helping them be a better teacher or more efficient or effective in their classrooms with their students.
You hiring? No,
the dog and pony. Don't make them do the dog and pony show. Stop it. Stop it. It doesn't.
I need him to start his own school.
Exactly. Let's go.
We gotta talk salary though.
Well, as soon as I get my salary together, we can get your salary together at this point. But I just don't think it's just about efficiency. It's just about efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. The whole thing. Create a whole Instagram page and just get your YouTubes up there so you can just teach all the administrators how to be administrators.
You know what? It's so funny you said my biggest thing.
We can get to that later.
I just don't like my time to be wasted. Let me just teach, man. Let it be conducive to what we're doing in the class. Because if it's not, you make me do all this, it has nothing. It's not directed to what I'm doing in my class. I'm going to be so upset. And I've noticed, as years go by and I become more experienced as a teacher and gain more years, my tolerance for nonsense, I can't. And And I feel bad for some of the younger teachers because they're nervous because they don't want to step on toes. They don't want, they don't want to cause any trouble. They want to make sure they make it to their tenure. And I'm at the point, I'm not disrespectful. I go and I'm about my business. I take care of what I have to. I'm very respectful to the administrators, my teachers, but don't waste my time. To waste my time in meetings, to waste my time in professional developments. I could be in my classroom putting together something for my kids. I could be in my classroom doing whatever, but that's my biggest thing at this point. After so many years, I just don't like my time to be wasted. And like I said, don't have us doing things that aren't necessary. If it's not necessary, why are we doing it? Don't make it just so we can have it sitting to the side. No, I have things to do. I can plan this on my own, or I can come up with these things on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think there's two questions that need to be answered. I'm sorry, Kat. I think we tried at the start.
No, go ahead.
But ask the question and expect to receive the answer humbly. Is what do you need and what do you think?
I like that.
What do you need, Miss Lewis? What do you need? What can I help support you? And
Yeah,
listen,
like
don't talk. Listen actively and intensively.
I like
And
that.
ways to actually make that happen. Imagine that. What do you need? This is what we want to do. What do you think? Now here's where it gets a little dicey, is because sometimes it's not a on or off type of thing. It's not authoritarian. Look, this is what we're going to do because I sat in a room where I have no perspective and I just hurled down a decision, or it's a vote. You can't do that. Sometimes it's in a consultation model. Look, I'm going to get the opinion of a bunch of my teachers, see what it is to consult me so I can make the correct decision. I'm consulting your opinion. That doesn't mean I'm going to go with your opinion, but I need to get it. Hey, let me bounce this off of you really quick.
Yes.
The same thing. One of the most fruitful things I had as a principal was a student advisory committee. I had about 10 kids that I would meet with, and I was very deliberate. I did not put all the good kids on this advisory committee. I had about 2 or 3 wild cards on there on purpose. But I call them, pay them for their time. I'd have like some snacks or something like that, and I bring some issues like, hey, what do you think about the dress code? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And listen to them, because ultimately, if we're not doing what it takes to make the school a better place for them, what are we really doing?
That's right.
And at the very end, I would say, okay, is there anything I need to know? What do I need to know? What's going on? Is there anything I need to be made aware of? And there was a couple issues. I was like, really? Like, this is happening? Okay, what do you want me to do about it? How would you like me to engage this? Just do this, Mr. Lavan, just do that. Or we really need you to get everybody together so we can figure this out.
Yeah.
Cool, bet. And then when you respond to that, because people like to see action.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing when you deal with your teachers.
Yeah.
Hey, we really need this. When you see movement or quick movement or progress towards it, then that inspires trust. Hey, well, hold on a second. This guy or this lady has my best interest at heart. They're really attempting to support me or really trying to be there for me and not just doing stuff. And I see somebody said something, you hit something that I talk about. Teacher buy-in. A lot of people like buy-in, the term buy-in. The guy that I consider to be Michael Jordan, Dr. Anthony Muhammad, he's my Michael Jordan in the world of education. He said this: I hate buying in because if you can buy in, you can buy out. I don't want your buy-in. I want your commitment. And that struck me smooth in the chest. So I say that all the time. I don't want your buy-in because one day when you don't like me, because you're not always going to like me.
Yes.
One day when you don't like me, because there's going to be a day, no matter how much we respect each other, there's going to be a day when you don't like me. You're going to decide to buy out that day. I want your commitment.
But I expected that teachers gonna buy in and buy out. Now you know how it goes, right?
That's true.
But a commitment is really committed, and I'm gonna say this. Yeah, I'm the Michael Jordan of this education thing, and I could go anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching somewhere because of convenience. A lot of times teachers select certain places because of money and because of convenience, right?
Mm-hmm.
How it enhances their lifestyle, what type of school it is. Like, do I have to wear a blazer every day? Do I have to, you know what I mean? Am I going to be in a public school arena? Am I going to be, so we're very selective as to where we want to teach. Now, the buy-in process is not going to be as saturated with teachers that are so committed, because there's always somewhere else that we may need to go.
I respond to what you're talking about, the buying in and buying out. That's climate. That's climate. What I'm talking about is culture.
Gotcha. Okay.
People, because climate is how you feel, culture is how you behave. And teachers select cultures because their climate is always going to change. We're in the people business, so we don't deal with the zero defect product. Everything's all over the place.
Right.
One kid can have one bad morning and turn the whole school upside down.
True.
Just like one teacher can have one bad morning and snap and turn the whole school upside down. It's the same way, or one, especially if the principal shows up in a bad mood, something happened, the whole school is fixing to go upside down. Yeah. So, but what I'm talking about is people choose which culture they want to participate in. So people, everything that you said is very true. Money, convenience, do I have to commute? But the thing is, if I'm going to a place where the culture is very strong and it's a culture that I believe in, and I believe in the vision and what I'm doing and how we're affecting the educational outcomes of these children, then I'm going to stay there. If it gets to the point to where this is no longer the race that I want to run, the culture has completely changed, then I'll choose to bow out and go other places. Because some people will stay in schools that some people might not necessarily think are all that great, but the culture jives with them. They really believe in the culture. A guy named Peter Drucker said, culture devours structure.
Yeah. And the skillful learner said, if leadership is not tight, then it's a wrap. Right, because we are only as great as our leaders. And listen, there was just one time we had some issues going on. This was not where I'm at now, but this was in another location where I was before. And one of the, admin, got real emotional and broke down. So the teachers was like, well, it's over at this point, because how can we even be confident, right, in the whole idea of leadership when the administrators are breaking down in front of us, right? So I think it takes a lot. It's teamwork makes the dream work, but I think a lot of no, it's the truth. But you guys have to look at us as a team too, right? We're part of.
No doubt. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm completely with you. 100%. Because it takes all of us.
Yeah.
It absolutely takes all of us to create a culture. It absolutely takes all of us. No doubt. That's how there shouldn't be teachers versus administrators. It's all of us.
That's right.
No, it's the championship games in football. The offensive, we got to play our positions. The offensive line doesn't need to get back there and try and kick a field goal. You know what I'm saying? We got to play our position. Everybody, yes, go for learner. I got to raise my hand because I got to make sure I don't get called on. I don't want to violate the classroom protocols and procedures of Ms. Lewis. But let me ask you this.
You can't talk in the class when you come to observe. Be quiet. You got to.
Yeah, I don't. I want you to forget I'm there. I want you to forget I'm in there because I want to see how you really teach.
Yeah. And I tell my kids,
I don't want you to get thunder lesson that you've rehearsed several times. Happens every day.
All the time.
So that way I can really help you and support you.
Right. I tell my kids, no matter what suit come in here, Miss Lewis rocked the same way every single time. So I might like,
That's,
I might change
that's
my.
it. But here's my thing. And so here's my thing. Broken down in front of an administrator.
Oh, plenty.
I have. I'll be a one-on-one situation.
So granted, and I don't know the context of that situation.
Yeah.
But why are administrators robots?
Exactly. You're right. Because when she was, not saying she was calling him a robot, but yeah, I'm just sitting there and breaking down and just having my administrator understand and just talking. So yeah,
People,
they're
and I don't know the context of your situation.
yeah.
I know the context of the situation, and you may be very right to be concerned in that particular moment. But we're all in the people business.
Yes.
And because there's the line doesn't flow correctly. I'm fully aware that administrators preach to teachers that they should give grace to children, and rightfully so. But then sometimes administrators do not give that same grace that is expected to teachers. But then also a lot of times administrators don't receive any grace from teachers at all.
You know what? Don't try and.
Did I make too much sense? Is that what happened? Is that why you're giving me that dirty look? Don't do it. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
No,
but it's the truth. It is. We're all
great points.
And
he is.
We can't have him back on, Mr. Saunders.
Yeah,
we gotta have the locker room.
damn, he came on here making sense. How am I gonna do that?
You make great sense, and you're making me look at it from a different point of view, and I love that. Right?
He's correct.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's really like that, and sometimes we do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes we all do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
I will admit I'm not proud of this. When I first became an assistant principal, because I was a reluctant administrator, I was told I was about to start my administrative career. It wasn't something that I sought after. It's not something that I sought after. And I very green and immaturely was talking to people crazy. I have my Mamba mentality was in full gear. I have very gruff self-talk. I'm extremely hard on myself. So I go on in on myself at about a 10. So me being nice to you, I'm going in at a 7 when I got something to tell you. My immaturity was that I didn't realize I was being a stark raving jerk and talking to people crazy. Because I'm in a position of authority, and I mean, we're adults. You should do what I say. What do you mean, this whole relationship thing? I was that guy, but I had to learn, humble myself, and learn that that's not how you talk to people.
That's right.
That's not how you deal with people. I had to learn and take my lumps, and learn some hard lessons at times, and mess up, ruin some relationships at times. Not mishandle some things. Believe me, I look back at that first year and I twin.
But you will learn.
You have to, go through it to be able to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And you were learning, so it's nothing wrong. I remember my early 24-ish teaching. You know what I mean? I made a lot of mistakes, right? I taught kids a certain way. It's kind of hard to when you're young. It's kind of hard to separate, street mentality from when a kid is trying to fight you or a kid is accosting you, or So we all go through that, and even still as an adult, as a functioning 42. Well, I think I was like late 30s when I had a bottle thrown at me. Right. So it was, I had to make a decision. Did I want to not be able to pay my car note, or did I want to, react? So like I said, but this only goes on in special ed classrooms.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Well, let me give you this. Think about this.
Well, I was
happens.
EE classes.
The perspective and the big picture can get blurred. I'm taught. You threw a bottle at me, a normal kid, gen ed class, no, not special ed. You threw a bottle at me. Okay, little Timmy got to go.
Right.
I put Timmy out. Get out of my classroom. Mm-hmm. He walks out. Guess what? Now little Timmy's roaming the school.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, you didn't call anybody. You just got mad and you put him out.
Right.
Now, what if everybody put one kid out?
Yeah.
This is real now. This
It
is.
is. It
So what do you
is.
think your assistant principals are doing? They're wrangling all the one kids that got put out. So if you have, I don't
But
know, say 170 teachers on your class in your
mm-mm.
170 teachers, that's 170 kids roaming the hallway. And it's rinse and repeat every single period.
Well, it shouldn't be rinse and repeat, because even though I have to stop my instruction to write up a referral once I have put this kid out, I'm gonna need y'all to deal with the kid and not bring the kid back to my classroom.
That's
So
true. So
it's
let's assume this.
things that should be in place. You know, we can point the finger, or we can say, or like a parent would say, well, what did you do, Miss Lewis, to provoke my kid to do something like that? Or the administrators could be like, well, why didn't you write it up like right then and there? Like, I have 25 kids in here, and they're distressed too, right?
No
Because
doubt.
try to attack their it's a lot of things going on. But
No
I think
doubt.
there have to be, that's why they have to be tight processes in place, right, on an administrative level, so that teachers can be supported. How about like we say, the customer is always right? How about having that approach with teachers first, and then we can trickle down and start pulling back the layers and see what's really going on, right? But don't put all the onus and accountability on us. And I think a lot of times when we were in COVID, a lot of things we felt left out, right? We felt like you were in these meetings, like you were saying, and y'all were having all these meetings with the governor and everybody, but nobody was consulting with us. Like, what's the best thing that we would like to do with our kids, right? What's some things that would help, because we were the ones teaching. So I think a lot of times, parents and administrators, our constituents, the people within the community, they tend to forget that we're human, right? And we need the time and the grace, right, in order to make things happen for your child, right? Because when COVID came, a lot of us, like, I always had this perspective. I would teach every kid like I would want a teacher to teach my child, right? So I had to, have sleepless nights dealing with the fact, like, I had to get over anxiety. Well, I didn't have a problem. I knew I had class and, peers that had problems with being on camera. Just that in itself, right? Some teachers, you don't want to be on camera, right? So, but you have to be on camera. You have to show up, and you have to look your best part. You have to do all these extra things, but nobody's consulting with us, and everybody's making decisions for us.
And you should, and they should. However, it's not everybody.
Right.
It's
not you.
And I'm gonna say this. Well, I'm not the only one. There are lots of people that. What do you need? What do you think?
Right.
For sure, not the only one. There are thousands of very fine administrators out there that are trying to play their position as to how that we support people.
Yeah.
The thing is this. Let me ask this question. So you can have tight processes, you can have tight procedures. Do you understand that, Miss Lewis, not every teacher is built like you?
Yes.
Bingo.
I'm hearing you. You know what? We wouldn't have these types of interactions, because it's like, pass by, Miss Lewis, you good? You need anything? All right. You know where I'm at if you need me. Oh, hey, I'm teaching something really cool, third period. You should come by. Okay, cool. I'm going to be there. That type of stuff. However, there is another type.
Oh, yeah. I know.
We know that. So so let's assume that those type processes and procedures are in there. Are in place. This is what we're going to do, and it's been very clearly articulated. We're going through the process. There's empirical evidence that shows that this is what we need to do. We have talked about it. I've made the empathetic investment with all of you, and we trust each other, and we know, and I've heard your concerns and all these things. We've gone through it. I've given you the functional investment that I have now trained you. I've now trained you so everybody knows what to do. But you just told your arm saying, I'm not about to do that. We've all been in the faculty meeting, sitting on both sides. I've been the one in the front and the one in the seats, where you look around, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. And it makes perfect sense. And you can always pick the one that's sitting there. I ain't fixing to do that. What are you talking about?
But y'all know who they are.
we do, because of, I heard that somebody called them cave people once, consistently against virtually everything.
Mm.
Oh, that's good.
Consistently against virtually everything.
Mm.
There's always that one. I feel like I need an organ. That was a word there. Like my little organ a little
I
bit.
was just about to say that. You just need to go ahead.
But just consistently against virtually everything. And sometimes we bog each other down. If I put too much stress on you and expect you to do too many things, you got to do a 25-page lesson plan. I'm being stupid now. I'm just saying something really extreme. I expect you to do 25-page lesson plans and every time that there's a referral, you need to stop your instruction and do it right then and da 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 da. Situations, we're not using some common sense in how everything goes. Then I can stress you out to the point where the system breaks down. But also we got to be fair the other way. Because you wouldn't believe some of the referrals administrators have to sit and work and bog them down in paperwork to try and help get to your situation. Or there's a lack of communication. Sometimes I think there was a bad situation a while ago. I forget exactly what it was. In fact, if I remember it, I shouldn't say it anyway. But it was a very serious situation. Teacher didn't do anything about it. They just sat at their desk and wrote a little referral. It was electronic. So one day I'm going through my queue, trying to catch up because I was actually out in the campus amongst the kids on duty, dealing with real things that happened in real time. I get back to my desk and this is in the same day. This is within like 3 hours. Wait a minute. You should have got on the phone, called my cell phone, hit everything. Not 911, but somebody should have went to that room immediately to address this. I'm like, how come you didn't call anybody? Oh, well, I don't know. Or you get a 2-word, or you're literally going to deal with a very serious emergency situation, and a teacher's really frustrated because this is Johnny's 3rd time being tardy to class, and they shouldn't have to come back to their class for the rest of the semester because they can't get there on time. It's like, well, give me a second, because we got something really real popping over here. Let me come back to that. So the situation is everybody's situation is the single most important thing at that time. And you always want to give everybody that respect because not everybody understands what's going on around them. Now, sometimes there's that transparency to where sometimes people see and understand, hey, I know you were dealing with such and such, but when you get a moment, can we talk about da 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 da? So you want to give people that respect. And another thing is, how do we disagree?
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother show.
How do I'm going to say this for the
how do we disagree with the powers that be? Oh, that rhyme too.
Well, I think for us, one thing that I get on is we need to be able to learn to disagree without being condescending or condemning.
Yeah.
Can we disagree productively? And sometimes it's in the face of utter foolishness.
Yeah.
And both ways.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, adults lie too, just like children. So you talking to me, I know you're lying to me.
Yeah.
And I got to sit there with a straight face and be professional and let you get through with it. Or you're sitting giving me this grandiose opinion and you're completely wrong. Because I know the facts sometimes and you don't. Because there are some things that happen that we just can't talk to y'all about.
Right. And I get that.
But
I'm about to use your words on Mr. Saunders.
Go ahead.
What do you need, Mr. Saunders? And what can parents do to help you while you're teaching during COVID?
Do I need? I would take. I mean, I would like for them not to give us more than what we're dealing with. Don't overwhelm us. That's my biggest thing. Just have a little more leeway with us. Know that we are trying our best. Mm-hmm. As far as with parents, I mean, that's a good question. As far as with parents, just kind of understand that we're trying our best as well. I know that they're going through things and we're going through things. I just think they have to be a little bit more understanding of what we're trying to do with the kids. I might send home a message and say, such and such missed an assignment or didn't turn in homework. I don't want you to send me a message back. Well, no. I'm not coming at you. I'm just letting you know I'm putting that information out there so that can work together. I just would like, let's be partners through this. I have your kid for 10 months. Let's be partners. We can't argue every day about every little thing. So let's just work together for the time, the period of time that we're here, and let's help the child become successful. I see the parent as a partner, as an equal. I'm not better than any of those parents, you know. So let's just work together and build a rapport. Let's help your child. That's what you want your child to learn. And I want the same thing. I think we both want the same things for your child: safety, for them to be successful. So let's just work together, and that's my biggest thing.
Yeah, working together, partnership.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that a lot of teachers, like, we just want to feel valued, right? And we want to be supported, right? I know a lot of times,
I have a quick question to cut you off. So you said about being valued. When it comes to teenagers, and maybe even adults, if you have 18-year-olds, where does that value come from, or how do they value, or how do they value you, or how do you see them valuing you?
Well, I am a strong proponent of relationship building, right? I'm building relationships from day one, even before day zero. Before I even get in the class, I'm going through the data and I'm looking at each and every kid who don't know how to read in my class. What's the Lexile scores? What's the math data? Because I know when I do cooperative learning or grouping, or I put anchors at tables, I need to know who these kids are. I try to get in tune with the kid, because I believe, right, what has gotten me through as an educator was my relationships with these kids, right? So when a kid knows that you're genuine, and and they know that you are for them and not against them, right? Yeah. A kid will treat you differently, right? So how I see and I know that I'm valued doesn't have to be when Teacher Appreciation Week comes. It's when Derek walk into class and needs to have a talk with me about something he's going through with his girlfriend, right? It's when a kid, like, before he get off of Zoom and they're like, Ms. Lewis, thank you for today, right? I enjoyed your lecture. It's certain things that when these kids value you. When the kids start enrolling in your classes more, start showing up more. They know when you call home, not just for the bad things, but for the good
things. Absolutely.
So just building relationships. When you're walking down the hall, if you don't like a teacher, you're not going to say nothing, right? But when you walk down the hall and you see, you could be walking down the hall going to get some coffee or something, and the kids are like, hey, Miss Lewis, how you doing? Hey, Miss Lewis, when you're valued. And I think a lot of that stems from relationships, because I have some colleagues that have zero capabilities in that area. And they get all the smoke in their classes, right? Because they don't know how to talk to these kids. They don't know how to have relationships with these kids. And they probably have the same issues in their personal lives. So relationship building is very important, because I can't build on classroom management without having a relationship with my children.
I like that, because at the lower level, it's so different. Just the simple things make me feel valued. That's why I asked you, what does it look like in high school? Just like, kids will draw a picture, say you're the best teacher in the world, this, that, and the third. I will get random gifts from their home. I'm like, I don't know if you were supposed to take that for home and give that. Like,
that's cute.
Yes, get random toys, and things like that. So a friend of mine, he's an administrator, and he said to me, and I never forget this. He said, teaching is probably, outside of being an entertainer, celebrity, is another job that we just feel popular. Because sometimes I'm walking down the hallway and I'm like, what's on? They're just yelling my name, give me fist bumps, high fives. And I think I'm the man. So it's it feels so good. But and every time that happens, I always think about what he said to me. Like I said, you could be walking outside for doing dismissal. All the kids, your old students want to come by. My old students come by and bother me all the time. I have to get to the point like, yo, you guys cannot keep coming here and disturbing this class. I love it. I feel so good, but you guys cannot do this. So right there, that makes me feel valued. Just like I said, the little gifts and stuff from my current students, and then from past students, just walking down the hall, doing a fist pumps, giving high fives, hugs, all types of stuff. So that makes me feel valued as a teacher.
Yes, that is very true. And it could always stem back to like you in the mall on the weekend and you
Yeah.
see it. I saw a kid, one of my old students was my cable guy, right? And, you know, he walked in and he was in tears and he was like, I just want to let you know how you impacted my life, you know? So those are the things that, you know, we thrive on. And that's why I continue, you know, to
Yes.
be a great teacher because I see what can happen if I'm not, right? You know, and you have to be very conscious, even though, you know, we give administrators a hard time. And I know I listen, you know my personality style. I'm not gonna not say anything. Okay. And I have a few of my colleagues on here and they're probably laughing. But even an administrator that we just were vinegar and oil, you know what I mean? We just was not on the same page. But when I went to another department, I kind of appreciated the things that she put in place. You know, she's made me step my game up, even though I didn't agree with it. But I really appreciate, and now I kind of appreciate her for the things I probably won't tell her until I get a little bit more growth. But I appreciate, you know, the military strategies that she put in place. That was just too much.
Absolutely.
But yeah, all
Oh,
of
him. He's rubbing the uh-oh.
and I know, Mr. Son, we went way over the hour, but and I know you have to go that but look, the admin just sitting there like,
Giving
Oh
you
no, it dawned upon me I probably talked way too much. I'm just sitting and listening.
no.
Nah, but you know what? You brought a lot of perspective, and so I, you know, and I truly appreciate it. And just some of the things you said, I was like, wow, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that, and it just kind of hit me in so many different ways. So no, I just sometimes you just have to sit and listen.
That's right.
Well, I'm modeling the behavior that I think we should all. I mean, I know it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, and I guess I am a little bit, but I'm being truthful at the same time. I'm modeling the behavior that's proved well for me with my relationships with my staff, like literally sitting and listening, like taking it all in and understanding that I may act on this. Like I'm not listening to respond. Because I posted something on my Twitter, because I'm pretty active on my like consulting Twitter, is, you know, listening to hear and understand and not respond without interrupting is a superpower.
Yeah, I agree.
It's really a superpower, and it's when you gotta flex. I'm naturally like, I want to fix stuff, I want to help people, I want to get to it, and I still have to work on it, interrupting people, because I want to jump in. I want to help you. I have something to say, but you have to make yourself pause. Right when you want to say it, you might want to wait a second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only say it the second or third time you get the urge.
Yeah.
Because you guys hit it right on the head. What everyone has always told me: we want to feel valued and wanted. My goal, whenever as a principal or just in any time I'm in any leadership position, anybody that I'm blessed to work with, you know, I humbly hope that they would allow me the opportunity authentically to earn their trust. But it's important that they feel valued, respected, and wanted. You know, I want you here. Sometimes people work themselves out of that, unfortunately. And that's always unfortunate when people put themselves in bad situations, because, you know, we're going to try and help you before we got to go the other route.
Exactly.
You know, I'm going to give you all the support I possibly can, but if you refuse said support, or you don't want to listen to the support, like I'm letting you know, you're driving to a cliff. If you keep going, driving down this particular road, something's going to happen. You know, stay in your lane. Accidents happen.
Sorry.
You know, type of situation, you know, if you don't listen, then sometimes you kind of work yourself into that situation where we have no choice. You know, realistically, your hammer should be the last tool that comes out of your bag.
I agree. He's right.
Realistically, and too many people lead with that.
Yeah, I had to learn that too, how to be quiet.
It's not even just be quiet, but just to really take it in.
Listening.
one thing, a principal, when I was an assistant principal, he was a very experienced principal, and it hit me that I was making this mistake because I like to try and teach and help people from my mistakes. He's like, do you realize, like, man, I was a young principal. I was trying to go get it. You know what I'm saying? He was a real cool dude. And he's like, and you realize your teachers don't want you to talk half the time? They want you to shut up and listen. Just shut up. And I was like, dang. They talk to me and I always have to say something back to them. Like it's helpful. Well, I'll tell you a quick story. When I was a principal, one teacher, she walked up to me and I had no idea this was an issue. We had this awning, and every time it would rain, it would like literally pour like a shower across the cross beams down the walkway. Like the kids would get absolutely drenched. It was even worse than like if they just walked in the rain. It was that bad. And it's like, hey, we've asked for somebody to do something about this for I don't know how long. But do you see, like, she brought me out to show me, Mr. Lavan, is there any way you can do anything about this? And we're like 6 weeks into school. So realistically, we barely know each other, right? Luckily, maintenance happened to be on the campus that day working on something. Hey, fellas, look, is there anything we can do about this? So these guys really did a great job. They figured something out. It was actually leaking into the crossbars from the top and then just pouring out the top of it. So they figured out, they drilled 2 drains on either side of these bars, and the water would go on either side. So now this walkway that would get flooded every single time it would drizzle, it's like completely dry now. Like just like that. And she pulled me to the side. Mr. Lavan, we've been asking for this for years. And in like 2 hours, this was fixed. Like, just thank you for listening about that. Now, that doesn't make me a superhero. That just makes me attentive.
And that puts you up on the pedestal that she feels secure with. No, you got it.
I don't think it's a pedestal. It's not a pedestal. It's not a throne. But
everybody has a person. Like, I know if you did that for me and we didn't know each other, right? I know I may be able to depend on you. You'll be the first person I might come to if I'm a teacher in an instance where I need something. Yeah. Because now I have a different level of trust in you, right? A different level of respect for you. So you might have thought that, oh, it was just about the awning and the rain, but it was more about the relationship building. In that little, even I know you probably don't think it was nothing big, but it's about building relationships.
Oh, no doubt.
Relationship with you.
No doubt.
And
building a relationship. I just think the act is like, well, for me, it's like, well, I do that for anybody. That's just me. I'm the weirdo. Right. I'm the weirdo principal. Like, I knock on your door. Like, I really need a sub. I gotta go. It's like, get out of here. Well, who's gonna take my class? I am.
We need you.
Let's go. Like, get out of here. You know, like literally, like that's happened. And I've sat in the classroom until the sub showed up.
Now,
get on my radio. Look, I'm in this class.
Let me ask Mr. Lavan a quick question because I did ask Ms. Lewis, but before I ask you this, I had my first year teaching. Principal, I got hired. The principal that hired me for my first year. I went to the interview, so he interviewed me, and then after that, we're just having this long conversation. We were in there for like 2-3 hours. Like the interview was done, but we were just talking. And he retired that same year. And every time I see him, I tell him, like, I owe you so much. Like, I don't care if I see him 3-4 days in a row. Every time I see this man, I will always tell him, like, yeah, I appreciate everything you did. I owe you. Always give him gratitude. And a few other administrators, I know, Ms. Lewis, you said you weren't there yet with a certain person, but it's a few administrators throughout my life that when I see him, I just say thank you. Like, I appreciate it. Like, thank you. I was young when I started teaching, and I was still wanting to hang out. And one of my VPs, you know the black mom types. She came to me one day, like, listen, boy, put her finger in my chest. Like, let me tell you something. And I was like, I got it. But Mr. Lavan, what makes you feel valued? I didn't ask you that, and I should have.
Because you give so much value to others. What makes
exactly?
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer the question because I'm one of those. Like, if I get 2 good jobs a year, like I'm good because I don't expect much.
Okay.
I don't. I kind of understand what I'm getting. Like I understand the landscape, so I get a lot. Like whenever I tell aspiring administrators, well, I really want to be an administrator, and they think it's like something extra cool. All right, I make a lot more money, and I do this, and I'm not in the classroom. Do you understand? You're about to walk into a very thankless job. You just are. Because think about the points that I'm bringing up to some of you guys that are valid, and you're like, but nah. Y'all should have it like this, and this. And I get it. It's not even contentious, but it's just what it is.
Yeah.
Literally, the second you put that chalk down or that dry erase marker down, and you pick up a radio, you now become one of them. Don't matter how cool you are. Doesn't matter if it's all the people that you taught with. I hate to tell it to you. You went to the dark side. You got a red lightsaber now.
Yeah.
Black,
Yeah.
you got the black robe and the hood on now, dude. Like, is this how it's working for you from now on? So
Yes.
you have to constantly work to be like, hey, I'm not the enemy. Like, for real. Like, I'm here to support you. But understand, like, the thing is, with support comes accountability. And that's the hard part.
Well,
Because a lot of people don't want to.
What helps you feel valued? Because you can make all these deposits, right? And never.
You're breaking up a little bit, Kat. I'm having trouble
Breaking up.
Oh, I'm breaking up. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, but what makes you feel valued?
God.
Right back into helping other people again.
Sincerity. Like, I don't know, just a little bit of reciprocation. I know it's awkward for me. Like I said, I'm really probably not the best person to answer this question. It's one of those situations to where, hey, Mr. Lavan, you really helped me. I really appreciate that. Or I really appreciate the vision. Like, just those same things that would make your day.
Yes.
Authentically would make your administrator's day. Authentically. I literally just put this out here, and I'm going to say this. Y'all probably gonna cut up on this. I literally posted something. It's like a news flash. Administrators' jeans do not affect the morale of your campus. Jeans and free food are extra. But if you think that fixes the morale on your campus, that's an unintelligent take. Teachers would much rather be respected and valued consistently and feel valued and wanted consistently. You can't treat them like crap and it's like, yeah, but I gave them barbecue today and let them wear jeans. Hold over. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. And some people think that way.
Yes.
So it's kind of the same thing. Like, I shouldn't appreciate you only on Teacher Appreciation Week. I need to appreciate you every day.
How about when they give us a tea bag for teacher appreciation? But that's a whole story. You know,
I don't know about that.
They gave us a bag of tea that said, you put the tea in terrific or something. A bag. They didn't even give us a box.
They're going to get you.
They gave us a bag, like one tea. Yeah.
Well, maybe they're cheap and whack. I don't know. Maybe they're cheap and whack. I don't know. I know during the pandemic, I'll give you an example. During the pandemic, and at that time I was commuting an hour to my campus. Like, in the parking lot with my trunk up. I guess this was real hood. But we did a drive-through. I called it a drive-through teacher appreciation Zydeco party. So I literally popped my trunk on my car and had Zydeco blaring while all of my teachers drove through, and with fully masked, I gave them all a teacher appreciation gift because it was the first time I had seen them in like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. And
it took maybe 20 minutes for everybody to like come through and just say something, but that was more of an overt gesture for me. But I think of it like this. Because I'm actually having to do a presentation on this in about 2 or 3 weeks, so y'all are helping me think through this. Like, if people that are in relationships, and I don't mean to trigger you, Kat, because I know you got that other thing working. People that are in relationships and people deal with the 5 love languages, that's how people receive appreciation the same way. If your love language is receiving gifts, you're going to feel appreciated at work by receiving gifts. So you might be good with getting a T-shirt and a coffee mug and all this other type of stuff. Oh, bet. Okay, cool. You know, I'm more acts of service or words of affirmation. Like the fact that you see me and appreciate what I'm trying to do and say, hey,
Yeah.
man, look, I don't need fireworks. I don't need a parade. You don't have to buy me anything, because to me, that's a cop-out. That's just me. It's easy for you to buy me something, but for you to legitimately, thoughtfully see that the work that I'm trying to put in, or see what I'm trying to do, or see how I'm trying to help you, that's something big. Let me give you an example from an administrator, something I learned from someone else, so I'm paying this forward, is the idea of a handwritten thank you card.
Come on now.
Example. I learned this from someone, so I want to pay this forward. Example, we were breaking up a fight one time in high school. It was pretty contentious. And this young black teacher came out of his room because it was a young African-American man, young brother. He was big. We were trying to get control of him because he had kind of snapped. He was, had some difficulties. I'll just leave it at that. I'll let you read between the lines. And he's like, hey, man, calm down, brother. It's all right. Just calm down. Immediately jumped in. Hey, you didn't put hands on. Like, hey, just chill. Just relax. And then he helped me de-escalate that young man, because me and that young man had a good relationship. I was kind of one of the only people he would listen to. But when he would like flash off, it didn't matter who was in front of him. So he had to snap back to reality and saw it was me. Oh my God, Miss Lavan, I'm sorry. It's like, don't worry about it. And I don't want to over exaggerate it. He didn't swing on me. He didn't assault me. He just didn't want to stop trying to get to who he wanted to get to. And so the very first handwritten note after I learned this, and I bought, actually my wife bought them for me, some simple handwritten masculine looking notes. They were black and gold, the best colors that you feel what I'm saying? Yeah, amen. Even though I don't know how we're looking right now. But
I don't know what we're gonna do without Peyton, but anyway.
I don't know. But I wrote this man a note. Hey, Mr. So-and-so, I really appreciate you helping me intervene in this situation with so-and-so. I'm honored to be on your team. And I signed it my first name. Not Mr. Lavan, because I'm personally thanking you.
That's right.
Signed it Ray. And just put it in his box and said nothing.
That's right.
I didn't wait. I just put it in his box and said nothing. And I expected nothing.
Yeah.
And I got an email from him. Wow, that was right on time. I really needed that. Thank you. I appreciate you. I wasn't expecting anything back from him. So we just, hey, you're welcome. I just appreciate what you did. Went on about our business. About 3 or 4 weeks later, I ended up in his classroom. And in my own defense, he was not someone that I supervised, because I was an assistant principal at that time. And he rarely had classroom issues. So I had to want to go to his room. So literally, I was just kind of walking through, just seeing what's going on. So I just popped my head in on him. And as normal, he was teaching his butt off. And I happened to eye in the corner in his bulletin board, right by his desk, he had pinned up that note.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Desk. So authenticity will take you farther, administrators, than accoutrements.
Accoutrement.
All the
Accolades and
little stuff.
accoutrement.
I used to teach SAT prep so it sometimes. So authenticity.
All right, Mr. Van. Now you got a lot of talents over here. SAT.
Authenticity will take you farther than accoutrement. Just buying people's stuff is not enough.
Yeah.
So teachers, and you got to remember, a lot of administrators, especially at the secondary level, because Mr. Saunders at elementary, the littles, they love you, they hug you, they buy you gifts, you feel like the man. I love I've never worked elementary, I've only worked secondary. I love going to elementary campuses because I just love kids. I love little kids. I love playing with them. Daphne, man, what's up, man? We got to talk about, the newest cartoons and all this. Oh, for real? What? Well, tell me about it. Just having those conversations. I love it.
Yes.
At the secondary level, I mean, you're dealing with even more craziness.
Yeah.
On it, or different types of craziness, because you deal with certain sets of issues at the elementary level, and then it switches whenever you get to secondary, the things you deal with predominantly. And sometimes you just there. So sometimes it's just a word.
Yeah.
Because the other day something happened to me, because I try to do this for people. somebody stopped me and said, "Hey, you check on everybody else, but how are you doing?
Mm.
Are you all right?" "Oh, I'm
Mm.
fine. You doing?" It's like, no, 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 no. For real. How are you doing? And that person's face was very sincere.
Yeah.
So for me personally, that sincerity does great things. Or I saw a lady that I ran into. We used to work together in another district. Now we're together at this other district. And we have a good relationship, not a great relationship. We know each other, but we're not like cool. You know, we cool, but we're not like, oh man, like I have her number, she has my number. It's cool, you know, everybody's introduced to everybody, that type of situation. And she was like, man, I just wanted to tell you everything that you're doing. I've seen it from afar, and I've just been so proud of what you're doing. I was, well, thank you. It's like, no, because you did this, and this happened, and this was really cool. So it wasn't an empty compliment. It was like an affirmation.
So yeah, I was about to say that's your love language. You thrive off of acts of service, affirmations.
And
Um,
most of us administrators, for lack of a better term, are trained killers. You know, we're goal oriented people that are used to going and getting it, and sometimes it takes just that one little bit.
yeah.
Because unfortunately, we think everybody's built like us. I had a boss that said star players play, and I think this messes some people up. Well, star players play. I don't have to encourage you. I don't have to do anything. Star players are just going to do it. Yeah, but star players leave organizations.
Yep.
Yeah,
They,
that's true.
they, every now and then, show me you appreciate me. Don't fall into
That's
that
right.
trap.
If I don't feel
I think.
valued, then you don't have me as a person. You're not connecting with me on any level. So I think putting your resume somewhere else, because of maybe the culture of the school or what have you. But a lot of that has to do with, are you valuing the people that's working for you in the building, right? What are you doing for teachers, like mentally, physically, right? What are you doing for the people that are, I like to say, the breadwinners of the building, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because teachers are the ones that they're a main part of that process of learning, right? Administration, if we take that away, and then we take away another department, the main brain and the nucleus of a school is the teachers. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that. But I don't want to hold you up too much longer. Mr. Saunders, I wish you the best over in Newark, you
Right.
know, and I can't imagine. Isn't that where Cory Booker is from?
He was the governor at one point. Yes.
Okay, it is Newark, right? Okay, I was
Yes. Correct.
because we had like 3 teachers or so that I've met since I've been in Virginia that came from Newark, and they were like battered teachers, you know. I don't know what y'all doing to them over there, but
it's a lot of work.
yeah, and I know, you know, y'all dealing with poverty. So when you're dealing with poverty, you're dealing with a whole different slew of other issues. But I just want to say that I know you don't know me, Mr. Saunders, but I just want to congratulate you on doing such a great job. I know it's not a lot of times that Black brothers get the accoutrements and the accolades.
Girl, stop.
Yeah. Mr. Lavan, I'm stealing all his words. I wrote it down.
Stop it. That's big. I want to echo that. For those that don't know on the call, only 2% of all teachers in the United States are African American males.
I saw that the other day. It's funny you mentioned.
And I'll challenge you this much. I bet you it goes down to less than a single digit. I bet you it goes into decimals if you just take out all the people that are purely coaches.
Oh. Mm.
I bet you would. No disrespect to coaches. No disrespect to coaches at all. Yeah. But think about it. You can challenge people. How many people had when did you have your first Black teacher? Your first Black male teacher?
Well, I always had Black teachers.
I never in my entire K through 12, including college, did I ever have a Black male teacher.
Really?
I've had Black female, but Black male,
Several black females.
In the
Several.
class, I'm talking about, like, I had a music teacher, but I'm talking about my actual teacher. Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, for me, it
See,
was
it's
zero.
different for me. I guess in New Orleans, we had our own black schools, so I always
Yeah.
saw black folks.
Yeah. So if you go to
I,
a black
but
school, what it is now, there was some black, there was a couple black male teachers at my high school. I wasn't blessed to be in their class. They were there.
Mhm.
I just didn't
yeah,
have the opportunity. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy when you think about it. But only 2%. So congratulations, brother.
thank you.
Yeah. And
I,
in 18 years in,
whew,
yeah. And then with the little babies, like I totally give all praises to you and continue to do such a great job, and like I said, you never know who's watching you, and you never knew, you don't know me, I don't know you, but I found you, and I just want to say thank you for coming on the show.
no, appreciate
And I'm
that.
not a stalker, by the way. I
No,
just look at different teachers' pages, Mr. Lavan. I'm just trying to,
thank
clear this all up. Look at
Wait a minute. What I got? How you put me in this? I must say.
But I try to make sure, because I have a tons of great girlfriends that's and colleagues that's female teachers that's black. I can always get one of them on, right? But it's just always great to have black males that's in the field and love what they do, and that's in it for the kids, that's student centered. So I just want to, just tell that to Mrs. Saunders, if nobody have told you that recently. You are a great and magnificent teacher. And I appreciate you, from the Teacher Talk Show. And little do everybody know that Mr. Lavan and I are cousins.
That's right.
And that was the last thing I'm gonna put at the end of the
setting me
show.
up on this little talk show. Because you know how family is. Oh, you got your little talk show, so now you think you somebody.
Yeah.
You always got a little something. Oh, you got your little stuff over there. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, but you're phenomenal too, and good genes running the family, sir.
Yes,
what my parents trying to.
oh no, I'm waiting for the call after the call. Then I'm gonna tell you how I really feel. That we really gonna get into this in a minute.
No, but it's nice how we know each other as family, but we don't know each other professionally. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Absolutely.
So you learn something new every day. But I just want to thank you both, brothers, for being on the show to talk about, administrative issues versus playing with the things that we're going through with COVID and being in a pandemic. Hopefully, somebody got a little nugget out of something that someone said on the show. And it was like a really broad. I know I learned too. I learned about accoutrements. And
Let me turn this light down since there's so much shade. Just
and I learned how I really need Mr. Lavan. You really made me look at things from a different perspective instead of just being like, But I think I'm gonna,
some deserve it though. Some
Huh?
of it, some of some of y'all be acting up. I'm talking to the administration. Y'all know some of y'all ain't doing right, so start acting right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
So,
I said.
Mr. Saunders, you also have a fan club. Everybody know you're doing great. Mr. Lavan, you are great. Even though you're my cousin, you are great.
I see that as a positive that I'm your cousin, Miss Lewis.
Yeah, I know it's a great thing. That we were in a wedding together years ago. You remember?
We were. Yeah.
I saw the picture at my mama's house.
It's okay. I was surprised.
I was like 5, wasn't I? I was like 4 or 5, and yeah. And you were probably, I think you're like 3 or 4 years older than me, right? Well, we're not gonna get into that
because we're gonna have to say your age live and.
Well, y'all gonna know my age tomorrow because it's my birthday.
You're older than me though.
I'm older than you?
Mm-hmm. Not by much, but you're older than me.
Hold up, which I was.
We have the same first number. We have the same first number.
Well, he's not my cousin no more, Mr. Saunders.
I almost got real. I forgot I was on live. I was like, "You live."
Really? I am.
You're not that much older than me, though. I'll say this: I turned 40 in November.
But you looked older than me in the little cute little baby pictures that we
First
had.
of all, look, I had a.
No, you look like a little grown man.
Look, man, I had a big head. What do you want me to do? My head was big, and I had, I mean, couldn't help
You
that.
had to fade and stuff. You
Oh no, that was tragic back then.
oh my
That hair was
God.
that cut was a crime scene.
You had
It should have been on CSI. I
it
promise
was
you.
feathered going back. I love it.
Feathered. Oh Lord.
All right. Well, I'm not going to hold you guys, but I just want to thank you all for having this great conversation. Look for a special gift that I will be sending to you all in your DM. And also, I also would like to mention that if you all would ever want to come back on the show and talk about other things, I always have 4 boxes. So that means 3 people other than myself that we can always join on conversations. And I just like to help teachers that like to help others, So thank you.
Well, I'll say,
I don't want to
if
hold
you
up.
ask me, I'll be there.
Thank you. And thank you everyone who came on, and the Tianas and the D's, the skillful learner, excuse me, I can't say it by her first name, and Nala and all the other people who came on that was talking and engaging with us. So I appreciate everyone. And don't forget, tomorrow's my birthday. I'll be making 34. The comments.
He's smart.
Well, actually, I'll be 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got sources, so I ain't worried about it. I got sources.
Yeah, I'll be 34, and I was born in the late 70s. So.
Remember when I talked about earlier how people be lying there with a straight face? Wait, let me turn my business face on.
And I
Really,
don't.
Miss Lewis, that's an interesting opinion. That's an interesting opinion. Elaborate on that.
Yeah, and also I have another for all the other people who don't know me. I do have another webcast that I do on IG Live called Sis Talk, where we have a lot of interesting conversations. I call myself the self-proclaimed dating expert and coach.
Yeah, I stay out of there.
Y'all married folk.
I turned it on one time. I got off like, oh, time for me to go.
But please drop your handles so people can follow you. And I'm just so grateful. But you all can also join in on Sis Talk Show, because I always like to have the male perspective, because I do non-male bashing sessions. Okay.
When?
I try.
When?
Well, people bash me all the time because I have a list, Mr. Saunders.
Oh, they bash you all the time?
They do.
DM me that list. Y'all ain't fixing to be talking about my cousin like that.
Like, they gotta meet the stuff on the list.
The Louisiana blood goes deep. Like,
hello.
I got the Black Forces is right over there.
Well, all right. Well, you all enjoy your evening. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I will see you all hopefully on the future Teacher Talk Show. All right.
Take care. Good night, everyone.
Good night.